Everybody, welcome in! I hope you are all having a fantastic day today, and I'm super happy to see you all here. And also, Elite, thank you so much for the sub while I was on my starting screen. I appreciate it. Glad to have you here. I have a question for the streamer. What's up? What's up, Elite? Welcome in, everybody. And again, welcome in. I appreciate you all. We will hang tight for just a moment, and we'll have like a quick little yap session. We'll give us 10, maybe 15 minutes just to give everybody a chance to funnel into stream. Because it does take a little while sometimes for notifications to go through and everybody to tune in. And I don't want anyone to get left behind today, so we'll try to structure it same as before. But welcome in. My first time tuning in. I saw one of your vids on Insta a couple hours ago. Awesome. Well, I'm super glad to have you guys here. Again, this is... how did you get to... Oh, before Bible study, someone stream your voice actor. How did you get started? Ironically, VTubing is how I got started. I've had people reach out to me and be like, hey, Miki, I love your voice. And I would like you to do voice for me. And I'm like, wow, okay. And so most recently, that happened with a game called Tomo Cafe, which is not fully out yet. The demo is available on Steam, but that's it. Although, if you are looking to get into voice acting, there are also there's like a site called Casting Call Club, which has open calls that you can audition for, etc. But most of all, I would say just browse social media. There's always a lot of indie devs that have like really small castings going out. Whether you use a site like Casting Call Club or just, you know, watch on, say, Twitter or something for open applications. Yeah! So that's how it goes. I made Fanner and tagged you in it on YouTube the other day. I'll have to check it out, Inkle. Thank you so much for letting me know. I don't always get the notifications on YouTube, but now that I know, I'll make sure to go check it out. Did we hit 7,000 points last stream or this stream? We hit it last stream. So anybody who is just tuning in here, and welcome in again, everybody. I streamed until 4 a.m. last night playing Alien Isolation. I finally got to the halfway point though, and I'm so proud of myself. I worked so hard, but I literally streamed until like 4 a.m. and I just kept going. And yeah, so as you can see, we now have surpassed the $7,000 goal. So Chibi Miki is in the works. I did not get scared, not really. I mostly got angry and irritated, I guess. I found it more frustrating than it was scary. But yeah, so now we are above 2 days on the timer again. We are past the 7,000 goal and we're on to 8,000, which is Nate outfit. So yeah, might be a bit selfish, but I need some prayers. Just got jaw surgery last Friday and I need the Lord's help right now. Yeah, of course. You know, I'll do a little general opening prayer whenever we get started. But I really hope you feel better. I know that surgery can be really rough to recover from, especially... I've never had jaw surgery, but I know last year I had a similar surgery near my mouth at least. And I'm not gonna lie, that was horrible, especially because it made it really hard to eat and drink. So even though I don't know exactly what your pain is, I can imagine it's unbearable because anything that makes it difficult to eat or drink really sucks. So... I hope that you're able to heal quickly. I just got back from camping. Thought I'd be here until Monday, so I'm glad I could come back and watch. I'm glad, Inkle. Well, glad to have you. Honestly, the worst part is 2 months of liquid diet. Yeah, I've seen that with jaw surgery, you have to have liquid diet. And that sounds terrible. I know for me personally, like I just had a tonsillectomy as well as some other stuff. You know, most people get their tonsils out as a kid. I had to get mine out as an adult, and it's actually a lot more painful as an adult. There's a lot of science behind it, whatever. But, oh my goodness, even drinking water felt like drinking razor blades for a while. It was terrible. I remember every time I was hungry or thirsty, I would low-key just cry because I was like, no, not again. Oh, man. I got back from a retreat. It was really good. We did a bunch of prayer and stuff. Nice. Procreate crashed twice when I was trying. Glad nothing happened. I'm glad too. My grandma died a bit ago and we had to get rid of all his stuff. I couldn't handle it. I'm sorry to hear that, Mochi. Well, again, I hope everybody is doing good. I know we're all struggling. And, you know, that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. Is, you know, how to find peace in hard times. You know, what to do when we're struggling. And just kind of how it all fits into God's plan. So, you know, I do ask everyone to just be mindful and not trauma dump in chat. Because I know we're all going through issues. But just try to be mindful of others. Because we're all going through stuff right now. And hi, Jeremy. Welcome in. Watching today's Bible study as I finish the math homework. Hoping to get that divine motivation. Yeah! I believe in you, Jorian. Hey, Stevie. Welcome in. I've been meaning to ask you for a while, but I have a random question. How hard is it for you to remember to call me Sale every time you see the name Sewer Dog? It's easy. I just know. It's kind of like how Cultured is Wesley Mesley on YouTube and Coupled Games on Twitch. It's just, if you're someone that's here regularly, it's second nature. It's kind of like if you were to see your friend's face, and as soon as you see your friend's face, you know it's their name. But for me, it's like I see your username and I instantly know your name. Or think of even your friends like gamer tag, where it's like you see the gamer tag and you instantly know their name. Now, obviously, I don't know your actual name, but like to me, your name is Sale. And so when I see Sewer Dog, I'm like, oh, that's Sale. If that makes sense, I guess. I can't like do it for everyone, but you've been here long enough that I've slowly caught on. And I'm doing good today, G. Welcome in. Miki, do you want to see the hero of this last drill? What do you mean? Got it, just wondering? Yeah, no problem, no problem. We're gonna hang tight just a teensy bit longer, and then we're gonna get in. Let me move my tracking here real quick. There we go. Yeah! Hi, Dan, welcome in! Yes, glad to see you too. Glad to see everybody here. And hi, Hidden. Again, we're just yapping momentarily. We're giving everybody some time to see the notification, be able to get in. Just so that hopefully people don't miss too much of the beginning. And then we'll go from there. Got a high enough score to get an endorsement for an exam? That's awesome! Snoopy, I'm so happy for you. Miki knows my name? Yes, I do know your name. I know your first and last name. And that's why it's BB, because BB are your initials. Any plans for the week, Miki? I have my new chair that's gonna be coming this week. As you guys may or may not know here, if you guys don't know, I have the image here. Alright, prepare to be jump scared. This is my chair I'm currently sitting in. It's like 5 years old, and I have 4 cats. As you can see, it is well past its expiration. It has, definitely seen better days. So I finally bought myself a new chair, like you guys have been begging me to. And oh wait, it was supposed to be delivered today, but they definitely didn't deliver it. No! It's because I live in an apartment. They never want to come into the apartment. If I remember correctly, I think it was supposed to be out for delivery today. And I just thought about that. But no one's come around. Let me see. No, it still says it's out for delivery. Let me check. Huh? I mean, can I check the FedEx? Okay, I'm trying to figure out. I think there was a delay in the shipping. I don't think it's gotten to me yet. But I have a new chair that's going to be coming. And then I also have a futon I ordered because I don't have a couch right now. When I moved, I threw it out. So I'm excited to have like a new futon / couch situation too. So yeah. Yeah, I'm sure this new chair will be good too. I'm excited for it. There'll be a random knock on the door in the middle of the stream and it'll be the chair. We'll see. I'm trying to pull up a few more details. No, it does say they didn't. Oh, I hate this. Yeah, no, they skipped the house. They didn't even attempt to deliver it today. Rest in peace. It's gonna be a white chair. I'll send it, I'll show a picture of it on stream once I get my chair. No worries. No one sees the emails. Huh? No one sees the email sales. They're not logged. And here tomorrow, we'll see. I'm probably gonna have to call FedEx and ask them because typically what happens is in my apartment complex, the Amazon driver that comes around here, unfortunately, does not typically deliver packages. It's been an ongoing battle with apartment management because they always just like get lazy, I guess. I don't really know what happens. Like they don't even try to leave it in the office. They just mark like that the apartment complex is closed, which doesn't make sense, but I don't know. I'll have to call FedEx and get that sorted out. So it is what it is. Especially because like it's a big box, it's a chair, I get it. But like, man, dude, I was really looking forward to my chair today. So I'll just call FedEx tomorrow and go from there. Aww! That's cute. Thank you for the picture of the doggo. Alright, I think it's about time that we should be able to jump in to our lesson here momentarily. So we will see about that, because I think we've got a good amount of people here, and I'm sure more people will funnel in as we continue. But it is what it is. Can't wait to work for FedEx now and delay packages. No, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Fun fact. Job was probably the first book of the Bible. What do you mean? Hi, Masi. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well today. Could be like Walmart and claim to deliver to my friend while she's sitting at the front door and nothing came? That has happened to me before as well. And it was for something expensive. I can't remember. Oh, I remember what it was. I ordered a really expensive OLED computer monitor. Like, it was over $1,000 and they did that. They marked it as delivered when I'd literally been there all day and it was not delivered. It was such a pain in the butt. But fortunately, everything got sorted out. It was horrible. It was so horrible. Dog boosted morale by 200%? Yeah. Okay, well, I think we can probably get ourselves... Whoop, I just bonked my tracking again. Let me... Best part was delivery photo. There was a black square. Wow, so helpful. I hate when that happens. Like, I'd rather them just call me and tell me that, like, the package is too big and I need to come pick it up rather than not delivering it or whatever else. Because then it becomes stressful for me trying to, like, play telephone because, like, I bought it. Please, I need to know where it is. I swear expensive stuff going through shipping always keeps me anxious. Absolutely, I agree. Because I actually had gotten 2 OLED monitors and the first one arrived, but when I opened the box, the second one wasn't there. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, maybe they shipped in separate boxes? But then they, like, claimed both of them arrived, and I was like, actually, they did not both arrive. Is your voice higher on purpose? This is my natural voice. This is my natural voice. Okay, let's go ahead and swap over here. Today, we are going to be doing Suffering Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. When did it get to 7,000? What was the thing for 7K? It was a Chibi Miki model, which will be worked on in the future. Also, guys, look, I have a PowerPoint today. I prepared adequately for today. So rather than me just ad-libbing everything, I gave y'all visuals. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still learning. Again, if you're new here, this is my second time doing a Bible study stream. So this is still very much a, like, learning process for both me and for you guys. So last week I did the first one and I think it went really good. But there were a couple things I was like, maybe I could improve on, like giving people visuals. There's not pictures, there's just text. But hey, it at least gives you something to follow along. So again, please bear with me if you know there's any scuff or stumbling. I'm trying my best. I'm learning just as much as you guys are. So yeah. That's basically it. So yeah, so we're having Suffering Part 2 today, basically. It is the second part of last week's stream. Kind of a continuation, if you will. I kind of plan for my streams to flow into each other in terms of, like, subject, topic. But we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna be trying my best. And then I tried to have a Bible verse on, like, every, like, slide as well. So, just something relevant to whatever we'll be talking about on each slide. And so, for the verse that I did for, like, kind of my overall one today is Romans 5:3-4. We also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Because today, well, actually, I'll get into what we're talking about today. Alright, so first of all, we're gonna do a recap on last week. Yeah! I love Miki saying I'm new to this. Forgive the scuff after giving the most coherent VTuber Bible study I've ever seen on her first try. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I tried a lot. I did a lot of planning. It's mostly the delivery and the visuals that I'm still kind of figuring out what feels best for. I don't know. Oh, I just realized. Wait a second. I just realized that I had that taking over. Okay, there we go. That should be better now. Alright, beautiful! PowerPoints are nice? Yeah. It gives a visual just so if I'm yapping, you guys can kind of follow along with my flow of thought. Because I know that was one big thing is people... like if you're just tuning in or you have to step out for a second, this kind of gives you something visual to know what we're talking about and kind of see where I'm at in my points. I will say this is a long PowerPoint. It's like 23 slides. But to be fair, last week's was like 8 pages handwritten in my journal. So, we'll see how it compares. We'll see how it compares. Alright. Yeah, last Sunday was a tad confusing. Well, that's because we're continuing it this week. So yeah, like I said, I'm trying to find a way to like flow everything in nicely. A question already, is suffering only due to the byproduct of sin? Not... Yes and no. Again, okay, so basically, here's how we recapped it last week. I'm not gonna, like, kind of fully loop back into last week. So essentially, suffering was introduced to the world through original sin, which is, you know, Adam and Eve. They ate the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And through that disobedience of God, it introduced, you know, sin into the world, wrongdoing. They were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And that's where suffering came from, because then once they were kicked out, you know, man was given the curse to essentially have to work for all his days, and women for, you know, painful childbirth, blah, blah, blah. And so, generally speaking, yes. Now, can other bad things happen? But it's a very theological, like, I wouldn't call it a gray area, because there's definitely answers, but it's definitely a much bigger theological conversation than what I plan to have right now. Hi, Kyrie, welcome in. And then... last week, oh, I realized I have a cursor here too. Wait, that's so good. I'm using Canva right now for this, by the way. So sin is also a byproduct of free will. We covered how the entire reason, you know, with the fruit is if you don't have the free will to love someone, like if you're forced to love something, do you actually love it? How do you know it's genuine? Blah, blah, blah. Same applies to God's love for us. He wants us to have the ability to choose to be with him or not to. And that is why, you know, the fruit was there and it was an option. And, you know, humans chose to disobey, etc. Free will. That's all you gotta know about that. Which leads us into the fact that in order to get rid of suffering, we also have to get rid of sin. Because sin is what causes suffering. Like, think of it this way. What is a sin? Lying, cheating, stealing, like, causing harm. Which, again, suffering. So, without getting rid of sin, we can't get rid of suffering. And then, you know, also there's the whole side point of God cannot exist in the presence of sin. We talked about the concept of a privation of things that cannot exist in the presence of one another. For example, true light cannot exist if there's any amount of darkness. Likewise, true darkness cannot exist if there's any amount of light. Same with, you know, true good cannot exist if there's any amount of evil. And true evil does not exist if there's any even slight amount of good. And that's kind of how it works with, you know, God and sin. God cannot fully be present with us so long as sin is still in the equation. And basically that means that, you know, if God were to get rid of sin, instantly we all would have to be judged for anything we've done. There wouldn't be a chance for repentance, salvation, things like that. So suffering is still a sign that we have time to turn to God and find God. So yeah. And hi Finite, hi Ruben, welcome in you guys. We are just getting started doing a recap of last week's stuff. Remember, God made you special and loves you very much. Exactly! And then we go into our next point, which is contingency versus necessity. So everybody knows what a necessity is. It's something that needs to happen. Hi, Hobby. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Now, a contingency is something... Okay, if something is contingent on another... I'm not going to bring up my diagram from last time. Basically, there's option A and B are both equally a chance of happening, but in order to get option A, it is contingent on what happens before it. So for example, sometimes for good things to happen, bad things have to happen first. Like imagine I'm trying to think of something silly and like completely hypothetical. Imagine you're running late to work. And because you were late to work, you see a stray kitten on the side of the road and you rescue it. So basically, finding that kitten and saving it was contingent on you being late to work. Which means, does it suck that you were late to work? Absolutely, but if you hadn't been late to work, you never would have found that kitten and been able to save it. And that's where it comes, contingency versus necessity. So it's not always that, suffering is inherently a bad thing. Sometimes God is able to use that to do good things. And an example of that, we talked about the story of Joseph, where his siblings literally sold him into slavery. And all of that happened. He was essentially in slavery and then later in jail for 15 years straight. Just to find out the entire reason that he was there was so that he could interpret Pharaoh's dream and become his right-hand man and save all of Egypt from famine. Like, do you think he wanted to be in that situation for 15 years? Absolutely not. But if it hadn't been for that, then he wouldn't have been able to save not only his family, but all of Egypt from dying of starvation. And so that's where the whole concept of contingency versus necessity comes from. So, yeah! God's got it all figured out. His spirit works through us. Exactly. And this is what we're going to be talking on more today. So it's kind of where I left off. I know I left off on, I guess, a little bit of an awkward point last week. But it's because it was leading into what we're going to be talking about this week. No problem, Snoopy. Take care of yourself. And then in one more topic we briefly touched upon is that an easy life leads to complacency. Because you see, as Christians, God does not guarantee us to have an easy life. He kind of says the opposite, if the world hates you, it hated me first. And that's because ultimately our reward is meant to be in heaven with God. And so that means the bad things are sometimes going to happen. And we also talked about the fact that whenever everything is going really good in our lives, it's easy to just get sucked up into worldly things. And sure, when, like, say you got the big promotion or whatever, it's easy to be like, hey, God, thank you so much. You're the best. But whenever it's just a bunch of small things, like, maybe it's just that nothing bad has happened lately. Sometimes we get into a point where spiritually we're complacent. We don't read our Bible as much. We don't pray as much. And we don't really think about God as much. And that's what complacency is. It's where you get comfortable and you start to kind of take things for granted. And, I know I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure most of us are. Because, again, it's really easy to forget everything God's doing whenever everything's going our way. Yeah, feel free to share a story. I can't respond to every single chat message, but I try to respond here and there when it's relevant. We just have a lot of material to cover. But here's the thing. Even whenever everything's good, the second something bad happens, it's really easy to just call up God and be like, God, why is this really bad thing happening? Please, we're going to actually be talking about that spiral because I don't know if you know this, but I am actually fully, permanently disabled with a degenerative disease as well, which I briefly touched upon in my previous stream, but we're actually going to be talking, about all types of struggles and, disability and health problems, is going to be coming up. So feel free to stick tight if you'd like an answer for that, because we will definitely be talking about it. As I was saying, it's easy to call up God whenever bad things start happening again, but we should realistically be talking to God all the time. Yeah, basically just when everything's going too good, it's easy to take God for granted, basically. I remember I heard a story, I don't know if it's real, where a teacher put out a fish tank and told the class if anyone stands up, they'd be expelled. Everyone stood in their seat for a while until one girl got up to put the fish back in the fish tank. After all, that teacher revealed the girl did the right thing. I see, nice. Complacent rebellion happens time and time again. Yeah, it's true, where people, you just get comfortable and you assume, like, everything's chill. But it's important for us to remember God in the good and the bad times and try to talk to him consistently, which I know is hard sometimes. But we're going to be talking about that as well as just how to have a consistent relationship with God. I've been having a hard time. There's been some bad things, but even still I forget to pray a lot and I don't know what to do, how to get in a routine. Again, perfect stream for you to attend because we're actually going to be talking about that. Today's stream, well, actually, here you go. Today's lessons, beautiful, to answer everything. So today's lesson is going to be how suffering can bring us closer to God. what to do when it feels like God isn't answering your prayers, or like maybe you just feel really alone. How to find words, Miki. How to find motivation and persevere in hard situations. We'll talk about God's plan and, you know, how suffering can fit into that. And spiritual complacency, and I should have added an extra bullet point, but we'll also be talking about how to grow closer to God and how to create a routine where we're able to get closer to Him. So, yeah, that's kind of the gist for today of what we'll be going into, little by little. So, it'll kind of be in the order that it's written here, but it might be a little jumbled as well. Again, we're all figuring it out together. So, first things first, we've already talked about this a bit as we've started, you know, stream and everything. We've all been talking about, you know, what are the different things that we struggle with. So we're going to talk about, you know, what kind of struggles there are. So there's a ton of different ways that we can personally be struggling. And, you know, it's funny, Spiral mentioned, you know, health conditions or disability. That's a big one that a lot of people struggle with. Yeah, of course, Mochi. There's financial instability. You know, economy is not great right now. Money is always tight. And, you know, a lot of people feel like they're one emergency or one expensive bill away from just not having anything anymore. There's relationship problems, whether it be maybe problems with a family member. Maybe you're not close to your family. I personally struggle with that. I have, like, my mom, dad, little sister, and then my grandmother on my dad's side. Besides that, I don't really associate with my family. I have a lot of problems with them that I've been having to work through myself. It could be friends. Maybe you don't have a lot of friends. Or maybe you've recently been in an argument with a friend. It can be a romantic partner. It can be a coworker. It can literally be anyone in your life. Because, you know, and that goes back to the whole thing of where suffering is a product of sin. Because we as humans are sinful and we do wrong things. That leads not only for us to feel hurt ourselves, but to hurt other people too. And that's why a lot of the problems we have tend to revolve around other people. Or the people around us. Yami, thank you for subbing on YouTube. Let me take a drink real quick, guys. Anyway, I was brought up Catholic and I completely turned away from God. Became a Satanist. I did some really bad things. Got married and was married for 14 years. My ex-wife was a witch, literally Wicca. I've never talked about my full testimony. And it's mostly because it's a very long and convoluted one. It's really hard for me to wrap up quickly. But I totally understand, Chuck. And if you know you've been able to come back to Christ, I'm very proud of you. We had 2 kids, got divorced after I was mentally and emotionally abused and cheated on. I see. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I personally had my own struggles growing up in the church. And then I got older. I had a little bit of a falling out with God. And I fell into similar practices, Chuck, in terms of the occult, witchcraft, things like that. Again, I'm not going to go full in depth with my story here because, again, there's a lot of nuance and context to it that I can't really talk about. But I did also fall into witchcraft in that time because I thought that God must hate me, which is why I'm talking about struggling, by the way. The entire reason I turned my back on God is because I assumed the only reason I was struggling so much was because He hated me. And I didn't understand why. I was like, what could I have possibly done for God to hate me so much? So, because I thought He hated me, I ended up hating Him back. And I fell into, like you said, a lot of similar things with, you know, the occult, witchcraft. I was never Satanist or anything like that, but definitely put my hands in places it should not have been. And I struggled a lot because of that. I was plagued with demons and visions and a lot of other negative stuff. And, you know, fortunately, Christ pulled me back from that. Whenever essentially, like, I thought that would make me feel better. Obviously, it did not. Going into those things just made my mental health decline even more, my physical health decline even more. And eventually, and you know, a lot of people, even Christians, sometimes don't believe in witchcraft, which I think is really ignorant, because even the Bible talks about demons and things like that. They definitely are out there. And I had really, really bad experience. And I felt like there was nowhere to turn to, but God was still there for me. And even though I was obviously really ashamed and didn't want to turn to God because I was still kind of upset, you know, God was right there to sweep me back up and take care of me and help me with all of the things I was struggling with. And I was able to get my life back together. Was it easy? Absolutely not. But God really saved me from literal rock bottom and demons and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm very grateful for that, and that's why I love God so much, because I didn't have a great relationship with him for a really long time. But when I was finally ready to turn back to God, he was right there to help me again. And yeah, I'm very grateful for that. I personally went to God after I suffered psychosis, and after going through the struggle of suicide and being an everyday lustful person, I decided to come back to him after that. Yeah, I totally relate to that, Spiral. When this happened, I cried out and I felt like he reached down and pulled me out of darkness. Now I feel close. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too. And it makes me so happy when other people are able to have those nice experiences as well, because, you know, I was in a very dark place. And obviously, I still struggle sometimes, but I always remember that God is there, and I've seen what great things God has been able to do for me, and that's why I believe he can do great things for other people too. Sometimes it's just on his terms, you know? Part of it might be that some Christians just don't want to believe there's witchcraft. That's true. I mean, there's a lot of modern day witchcraft, like tarot, crystals, things like that. People see as harmless, but you have to understand, you know, the roots in black magic and things. But if you use witchcraft for good, that is still non-biblical. Even like the sage and things like that, those fall more into the hands of like Gnosticism. All you need is the Holy Spirit. So, you know, crystals, tarot, what's it called? Zodiac signs. All of those things are forms of witchcraft. And even if you think that, like, you're doing it for a good reason, it is still witchcraft, and it is still bad because it is messing with, you know, spirits and ungodly things. So, that's what I'm saying. I would like to do a lesson on that one time, or like sometime maybe, where I talk about all of the ways that witchcraft has snuck into everyday Christians' lives. Because a lot of people don't know that. Again, they'll like do their little crystals, or like they'll do their little zodiacs, and they don't think it's a big deal, because a lot of people, again, they don't understand that it's actually rooted in a lot of like evil witchcraft demonic stuff. And I don't blame anyone for not knowing that. It's just it's just a lack of awareness, I guess, which isn't anyone's fault in particular. It's just kind of snuck our way in, and you know, that's what the devil always tries to do. Is the devil tries to sneak things into our lives. Like, it's really not that bad. It's for a good reason. You're not doing anything bad with it. But yeah, like Chuck said, it definitely can open doors. It's kind of like a gateway drug, if that makes sense. Personally, I've always been in Christ. Right, from a young age, it's very inspiring to see your testimony and others to inspire me to keep going. Yeah, you got this, Say. I'm very happy for you. And you know what? If you've been with Christ your whole life, that's just as valid, and that's really powerful, because the devil loves to try to tear people away from Christ. So if you've been able to stick by him the whole time, then that's something to really be proud of. Using witchcraft at all for any reason is rebellion too. Yeah, exactly. Because it's calling on power other than God. So yeah, anyways, there's a little side tangent. Some other types of struggles we can have. Major life changes. Persecution. Obviously, we as Christians, we probably feel that a lot sometimes, because I know we live in a day and age where being Christian isn't always popular. I mean, even me, you know, I've had a lot of people that come and like randomly attack me in my comment section just for being Christian, which is a little silly to me, because, you know, I just want to help people, whether you're Christian or not. I just want to, you know, spread the good news, and especially with talking about suffering and how to handle struggles. I want to really encourage people. Again, if you choose to believe or not is up to you, but I don't know. It's just a little silly to get hated on for that. I don't know. Pretty sure King Saul summoned Samuel's spirit for guidance, and even if it was for a good reason, he was killed in the battle against the Philistines. Yeah, we're actually, I briefly have something about King Saul in here later, Spyro. That's funny you mentioned that. We have this family that lived near us. They were odd, they did witchcraft and that sort of stuff. And one time they came over to our neighbor's house. When she left, she burned sage everywhere. I found it kind of funny. Hi, Nikki. Welcome in. Fairies, when the pastor said demons couldn't possess people, made the demon happy, it reminded me of how people view that stuff today. Exactly. Whether or not you're a Christian, you still can be susceptible to those things. Yes, God protects us, but that's only if we stay fully in the Word and aware of the things around us. Because again, it's that spiritual complacency that can allow it in. Okay, anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. We'll continue forward. No, I think God has a sense of humor. He's definitely funny. He, obviously, okay, that's why we call him the Father. Sorry, we keep getting in these side tangents. No, you're not too late, Queen. We just got started. I think he has a sense of humor. I think he's silly sometimes. obviously has these roles, but he's like a dad, you know? Where, like, there's some examples of, like, even Jesus being, like, kind of sassy in the Bible, you know? Like, for example, you know, it's one piece of scripture that a lot of people like to take out of context when attacking Christians about, like, oh, well, Jesus called a woman a dog. Well, if you look at the context, you know, the actual Hebrew was more akin to, like, a house pet, like a puppy dog. Like, it was a term of endearment. But she basically came to him and was like, Jesus, I'm like, such a dog. I don't believe you. Like, I don't think I deserve for you to help me, but like I really want help. And then Jesus is like, well, even the dogs get scraps from their master's table, which is like such a sassy answer, but I mean, he's true. And he's like, of course. That's essentially like a sassy way of being like, of course I'll help you. Like even a dog like gets scraps of food after dinner. And so I like to think God does have a sense of humor, and you can just see that in some of the ways he interacts with other people. I can see it. So he's strict. He wants us to follow his rules, but he definitely has some sarcasm in there, I like to think. Huh? Oh, yeah. Okay, I messed it up. The girl said that either... What is... There's something else I'm thinking of that's similar along the lines. I'm mixing up dialogue. Fish is correcting me again. But I don't know. I can't remember the exact lines. Then I guess I was incorrect on that one because the girl was saying that. I thought she was saying that, and then he made the comment because that's specifically where they say that. Let me double check. Well, oh, okay. There we go. I'm mixing the. Okay, Fish corrected me. So, he said it's not right for, you know, like, then to feed the dogs, and then she... Okay, so it's still the same thing. Not totally the same thing. But he made a comment like... Yes, I know it's a test, Fish. You're making everything complicated now and confusing for everyone, including myself. Okay, correction, because Fish is over here correcting me. Is, you know, Jesus said to her, like, oh, it's not right for, you know, to feed the dog, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, same sentiment applies. It doesn't matter. It was a silly comeback. Lost, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. The Fish is always quick to jump whenever I misquote something. That also uses raw and brutal sarcasm when roasting Job. Oh, yeah, no. There's a lot in Job. We talk about Job later as well. Yeah, that's what Fish was saying, Queen. I mixed it up. Yeah, he said it was a good answer. That's why I was going back and correcting... I meant the line before it. That's how it'd be whenever... And see, that's why it's always important, you guys, to get close to scripture and read it a lot, because even me sometimes... I read the Bible, but sometimes I mix things up very slightly, where I have the story, but, you know, mix up things here and there, and that's why it's important to, you know, be in the Word, and also hold each other accountable, because I always tell people, is I'm not perfect, I might misspeak sometimes, and y'all are more than welcome to jump in and correct me if I misspeak. So yeah, it was the whole testing of the woman's faith. But even then, just the way he talks sometimes. Anyways, as someone else said, look at the platypus. Platypus is silly. Okay. Let's go on. I know I'm taking a lot in the beginning here. So, there's kind of two types of problems we have. Bible is long and complicated. It's easy to get things jumbled up. Exactly. That's why it's important that we study the Bible as often as we can, because it's God's word. And the more closely we know God's word, the better he can speak to us, which is something we're going to be talking about later. Okay, so there's two types of problems. There's fixable problems and there's unfixable problems. And we're going to be talking about fixable problems first. Now, the first big pill to swallow is that fixes are not always going to be easy, and they're not always going to be convenient, which a lot of us don't like to hear. Let's be honest. Like, when something bad happens, we love to just feel sad and be like, there's nothing I can do to fix it. Woe is me. Like, it's really easy to fall into despair. And I know I'm super guilty of that as well. Of just feeling like, all hope is lost. And then just kind of like wanting to give up. It's really easy to want to give up sometimes. But the reality is, even though we're saying that, yeah, you're welcome to be here, Funky, even if you're not Christian. Today we're talking about struggles and essentially how to get through them. So even if you're not Christian, I hope that there will still be some takeaways here on just how to handle when things are going wrong and how to stay strong mentally. Everybody is welcome here. We are super welcome, whether you know all the Bible stuff, you read it every day, whether you're not a Christian, whether you're new Christian, whether you're a different religion. I don't care. You're welcome here. We are We are a nice, kind place where as long as everyone is respectful, I'm chill with you. And you know, I'm the same. I think we're all people here and we all can be respectful of one another. Yeah, everyone is welcome as long as they aren't rude or disruptive. Exactly! Okay, so... Anytime I hear Miki swear, Colossians 3... Hey, Tank! I haven't sworn in a while. I accidentally swore because I combined the words bits and Twitch. And you can assume... Like, you can probably piece together when I cursed. But I even laughed at myself because I was getting ahead and I was talking about bits on Twitch. But I ended up kind of combining the words. And it came out as a curse. And I was like, oops. That's not what I meant to say. Because I was talking about 100 bits. But I said 100. Yeah. That was a while back. That was a couple of streams ago, actually. Miki swore, I know. Everybody's clutching their pearls right now. No, in full disclosure, cussing is something I've struggled with a lot. Like, that's one of my biggest, like, convictions. That, you know, it's something I've been actively working on for a while, so I do cuss. Again, I'm the first to admit, I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. And that's definitely one of the bigger, you know, hurdles that I personally have is struggling with cursing. Emmy, thank you so much for the follow. Didn't know this Angel Strike was a Bible reader? Yeah! Bible reader! Hi, Hiteki! Welcome in! They might have to cut off my arm from a bone infection. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Chloe. So... Again, what I was saying is that it's easy to feel woe is me whenever bad things are happening. I struggle cursing too, it's a habit. It's because there's cursing all around us. And so it's like, we have to be accountable and like recognize that, you know, it's not everybody else's fault. But it's the same with a lot of people that struggle with, say, lust. You know, it's not something I personally struggle with, but a lot of people do, because with all of the internet, there's just so many things out there. The second you open social media, the second you watch a movie, it's just in your face with, you know, like pornography or things like that. And so it makes people really stumble. And, you know, we'll talk about that later. You know, like different stumbling blocks and such. But yeah, it's the same way with cursing or like anger. It's just shown in our media 24/7. In fact, I would even say that a lot of times secular media encourages those kinds of bad behaviors. So it's definitely a bad habit to kick, but I believe in all of us. We got this. We got this. Not me clicking the stream because I saw Dragon Ball. Yeah, dude, actually it was Fish that helped me with the thumbnail. I was gonna do, y'all know that meme where it's like the breaking chains meme, but then he's like, no, do the Yamcha pose. And I was like, what the heck is the Yamcha pose? And he's like, don't worry, Miki, everybody will understand it. Just put it there. And I was like, okay, sure, Fish. Sure, Fish. And God tells us twice in the Bible to run and flee from lust. Yes, don't fight it, just remove yourself. Exactly. Of course, Chloe. Facts about the lust. I blocked sites and some social media. Yeah, and that's really good. You have to practice, you know, that discernment and self-control. It can be really difficult when it's shoved in your face so often. And thank you so much, Crusader, for subbing on YouTube. Fish is my husband, IRL. Fish is my magical talking cat, but you know, wink wink. So yeah, back with the fixable problems. I keep going on the side tangent. I'm sorry, Cleric. Well, I did as soon as he showed it to me. I knew the meme, but I didn't know it was Yamcha. I've never watched Dragon Ball. So yeah, essentially problems, fixable problems. It's not always going to be an easy fix. It's like we're talking about right now, like say with lust. Say you know that every time you get on social media, you're going to see, like, especially if you're someone that watches VTubers, you're watching me and I might be say-so, but a lot of other VTubers aren't. Let's say that there's a VTuber you watch that's always making crude jokes or something, or showing a lot of skin, you know, posting raunchy things on social media. Like, you know, we're supposed to, as someone said, flee from lust. And it's not just that, it's also like, say, things that make you angry. Like I know that I used to in the past be someone that I'm scrolling social media and I see people saying something like really stupid or wrong, and my first instinct, and this is something I pray about a lot, one of my other things I struggle with is like thinking people are stupid. which sounds like awful, because again, everyone is made in God's image. And like here, I'm being completely, you know, vulnerable with everybody here. But that's something I struggle with. Is like I'll see people say or do things online And I'm like, wow, you were actually so dumb. Like, are you... And I've caught myself saying awful things in my head. Like, are you even sentient? Like, are you an NPC? But here's the thing. That is very bad, and we should not be doing that stuff, because everybody is made in God's image. And although, you know, none of us are perfect, and so it's really wrong for us to feel those things towards other people. I follow Miki and other Christian VTubers, but social media follows VTubers and floods the wall with crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so essentially, one thing that I've done with, you know, feeling angry is I try to identify if there's people... If I see a social media post that annoys me and I think there's... Just scroll past. You don't have to comment. You don't have to watch the full video. I just take a deep breath, scroll past. And that's where it's, you know, that's a fixable problem. Instead of getting angry about, you know, how dumb people are on social media, I just won't consume that social media. Working in prison is very, very hard to not believe in NPC theory. Yeah. It's really rough sometimes, but again, we shouldn't think about that. And it can be really hard, and I have to pray a lot sometimes, like, God, please give me the patience with other people, especially because I'm autistic, if you guys didn't know. So I tend to be very logical and rational. You know, I love my, you know, rationality, and just a lot of people don't have that, and I get frustrated. So I have to pray to God, you know, please give me the patience and understanding to, like, not hate people. Hideki, thank you so much for the super. I appreciate it. Bible says, commit yourself to God, resist the devil, and he will flee. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And then what we're going into with the fixable problems, the next thing we're going to talk about is that sometimes struggle is a sign that we're not doing what God wants us to do. Now, this is an exclusive, so stay with me. Stay with me, because we're going to get to this with Job later. So, not every single struggle means you did something wrong, but sometimes it can be God redirecting us. But we'll get more specific, so don't make your, like, your judgments quite yet. I relate. I don't mind if people have whatever opinion as long as it's consistent, but it rarely is. Exactly. Like, on that note, Queen, I'll be like, dude, do you even know what you're talking about? Like, you're contradicting yourself. Like, you don't even make sense. And that's where I'm saying I just have to learn to just scroll past. Let them say what they want to say. It does not concern me. It is social media. One practical exercise to love thy neighbors, to imagine every man is Jesus. Absolutely, yes, that is a great way. Because here's the big thing is, you know, it talks about, like, Christ is in all of us. So how you treat others is how you treat Christ. And so by being mean to other people or thinking down of them, you're thinking down on God as well. And, you know, that would make him really sad. So it goes back to the whole golden rule of treat others how you would like to be treated. And, you know, by proxy, treat everybody as if it would be Jesus. Because Jesus is watching you 24/7. And he doesn't want to see you being mean to his other children. Chris, thank you for the sub. So yeah. And then also another thing to remember in terms of fixable problems is God always provides. But sometimes that means relying on others. And that goes back to the whole solutions sometimes require sacrifice, or it's not the solution that we want. Because here's the thing. God's plan is his plan. And what works for him is not always what we think should be working for us. We might want path A, but God says the only path we're getting is path B. And we just have to learn to be okay with that sometimes. Which, you know, we'll be talking about how to be okay with that a little more in the future. You know, first here, I haven't been reading the verses on the pages. That's my bad. Matthew 6:31-32. Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? For your heavenly Father knows what you need, knows that you need them all. So again, essentially, if it's a fixable problem, you might not like the answer, but God's got you covered. God is going to make sure that you are okay, as long as you're legitimately listening to him and listening to his guidance. Because if you're only keeping an eye out for the answer that you want, you might feel like you never got an answer. But that's just because God is doing something else, and you're not being open-minded to it. So, we're going to talk a little bit about Jonah here. Everybody kind of knows our man Jonah. He's our silly little goofball that got swallowed up by a whale. And most people are pretty familiar. Even non-Christians are familiar with this story. But I'll give you guys a quick recap if you are not familiar with it yet. So basically what happened is Jonah really hated these people in Nineveh. He really hated them. You know how we were just talking about the people that make us angry online on social media? That like say stupid things or do stupid things? Yeah, so that's how Jonah felt about Nineveh. And God was like, hey, Jonah, I need you to go over to Nineveh and I need you to tell them about me and talk to them and stuff. And of course, Jonah's initial reaction is absolutely none. God, do you even know who these people are? They're awful. They're dumb. They do bad things. Yeah, no, I'm not going over there. They can figure it out on their own, which again is what we often do ourselves when we see other people struggling. Yeah, he literally turns around. He's like, all right, I hear you, God, but no, I'm not gonna do that. So what does Jonah do? He literally hops on a ship to go the complete opposite direction. He's like, yeah, sorry, God. Yeah, they can figure it out on their own. I'm not gonna do that. I don't like those people over there. I don't want to help them. Which again is something that, you know, I even admit that I struggle with is, you know, when people annoy us, we don't want to help them. We get annoyed and want to just leave them out there, but that's not Christian. Like, we're supposed to help everybody, even the people that low-key get on our nerves or bother us. They lied, they stole, but worst of all, they slap people with fish. Yes, that is true. That is an actual thing. They literally, yeah, they do all sorts of... I remember that being in VeggieTales. That was actually funny. I love the Jonah VeggieTale thing. Yeah, they slap people around with fish. They're just doing dumb stuff, basically. Which again, we've all done dumb stuff before. Everyone talks about him being eaten, but people rarely talk about him rejecting the message. Yeah, that's actually what we're getting into. So essentially, when Jonah got on the ship, he was trying to literally go the opposite direction of Nineveh. He's like, if I can just get on this ship and sail as far away as possible, then I'll probably be fine. Because if I get far enough away, maybe God will just give up and have someone else do it instead of me. Now, what happens whenever Jonah gets on this ship? A big storm comes. We know, especially like in Old Testament and everything, God loves to send storms or whatever else whenever, you know, people are not listening. He loves that stuff. And so basically, he gets on the ship and all of a sudden this big storm comes and he's taking a nap like under the ship. I forget what the parts of the ship called. Like he went below the deck and he's like taking a nap when this storm rolls in. And then all the people, so he doesn't even know the people on the ship with him, by the way. If I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have it pulled up here. Again, I like to have scripture going along with everything, but we're not focused on dedicated on reading one specific passage. But basically he gets on this ship and so the people come running down and they're like, all right, we need to know who the heck you are and what the heck you did. Because the second you got on our boat, all of a sudden there was this giant storm and we're all gonna die. And it's because of you. It's definitely your fault, bro. I don't know what kind of God you serve, but he's pissed off at you. And then Jonah sits there and he's like, you know what, guys? You're so right. I definitely disobeyed God. And then he's like, you know what, guys? It's fine. It's fine. And he literally tells the people on the ship, he's like, pick me up and just throw me overboard on the ship and you'll be safe. The storm will go away if you just, like, chunk me overboard. Which sounds silly, but it's true. And so they're like, all right, sure. And then literally the people on the ship, they, you know, turn to God and are like, please don't let his blood be on our hands. They're like, you know, we're gonna toss him overboard, but don't let this blood be on our hands. We know he's the guy you want, not us. And so they throw Jonah overboard, and that's when he gets swallowed up by the big whale. And that's the part of the story, you know, everybody knows. So essentially, while he's in that whale, he's got some time to think about his actions, you know. He's like, man, not only did I ignore God, but I tried to run away from what he wanted me to do, and I almost got a bunch of people killed because, like, he sent a storm, and they were getting caught in the crossfire, and so I got thrown overboard, and now I'm, like, eaten by a whale. I don't even know what's going on. Like, just imagine being Jonah. Like, God literally put you in... Yeah, exactly, Jasmine. God literally put him in timeout by having him be in the stomach of a whale. he was just sitting in timeout. And, you know, he had time to think about everything. And then he was like, you know what, God? I'm sorry. You were so right. I should have never, like, ignored you because obviously your will is more important than mine. And so, you know, he repents. He tells God he's sorry. He'll go talk to the people in Nineveh. And sure enough, the whale goes and spits him out on shore right there where he was supposed to be the entire time. And so he gets up from the beach and is like, all right, time to go talk to the people in Nineveh. And then Jonah 1:12, the verse I have here is literally how I was telling you. He talked to the people on the ship. He said, pick me up and throw me into the sea, and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you. So, you know, as soon as he saw that storm, he knew that God was not happy with him exactly. And, you know, there's a lot of other examples in the Bible as well where someone disobeyed God and then, you know, something bad happened to them afterwards. It was probably very unpleasant too. Jonah would have been partially digested. Yeah, he probably was not in a great state. Obviously, you know, God is able to, you know, protect him and stuff, but I don't doubt he still had a rough time while he was in there. And so, some other examples, you know, we have basic ones. We have like Adam and Eve, where they ate from the fruit that they were not supposed to eat from. I'm so late. What are we talking about? We're talking about struggles. And so essentially a rundown, I guess, because we have an ad break starting soon, you guys. So we'll pause here for just a moment before the ads are done, and I'll give a recap for anybody who tuned in a little bit late. So we talked about, you know, their struggles, and right now we're talking about fixable struggles. Where, you know, sometimes... Nick, thank you so much for the $10 rose. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. We talked about how sometimes our problems are fixable. Austin, thank you for the follow. But just because they're fixable doesn't mean the, like, solution is what we like. Sometimes to fix a problem, it requires sacrifice. Or, you know, just... It's not what we want. Because at the end of the day, it's God's will, not our will. So we have to be, you know, honest with ourselves. Because it's really easy to just be like, oh, woe is me, nothing can help me, everything sucks. But, like, does it really suck? Or can you actually do something about it? And we're briefly touching upon the fact that sometimes, whenever bad things happen, it can be God trying to redirect us somewhere else. We just talked about this story. Let me hydrate real quick. And yeah, I have heard that, Rapid. Absolutely. But we just talked about Jonah as an example of, you know, he told God nuh-uh to going to the people in Nineveh, and then he got, you know, eaten by a whale and spit back out. So, you know, that was not on Jonah's bingo's card. It wouldn't be on it. It wouldn't be on my bingo card. But yeah, so that's an example of a, fixable problem. Not always the solution we want, but it's the solution we need. Yeah, I'm staying hydrated. Don't you worry. We'll let the ad run real quick. It looks like we have 2 minutes, so we'll hang out a second until the people on Twitch are able to be back. And then we can go from there. So this is a good pause point. You know, if you guys have anything you need to say, now's the time during the little ad break situations. God said nuh-uh. Now look at this way. Exactly. Already over. It's over for some of you guys, but technically the ads run for 3 minutes. So I try to wait until it's done just to be sure. Because I have heard people talking about how they're not having as much now, but it be what it be. Why is that on 720? Okay, I was afraid I was on 720 for a second. I didn't get ads? That's good. Again, some people have been telling me they haven't been getting ads lately. But it says there's an ad break in progress for like another minute and a half. So just to be safe, I'm gonna let it run. God, go share the word of the people, or with the people of Nineveh. Jonah, nuh-uh. God, yaha, gets eaten by whale. Some theologians say he died when he was swallowed in the belly of the big fish and was in a way resurrected. Chapter 2 said he thanked God for bringing his life up. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of comparisons even with Jesus. I mean, you know, with the whole dying and coming back to life, or you think of like Lazarus. God does consistently raise people from the dead. JP, thank you for the sub on YouTube. So it's totally feasible. Absolutely. And that's like a big theological thingy. Rybash, thank you for subbing on YouTube. Just want to say, while I can't always watch, I appreciate the streams. Of course, of course. I always took that as being figurative because that prayer was poetry. Yeah. I really needed something like this today. Of course, Kev, of course. Off topic, but do you need to know my YouTube channel? No, I should be able to hear. I can actually check while we're on ads real quick. Because there's a specific tab. It doesn't give me notifications, so I have to manually check where I've been tagged in. But I bet it's here. If I go to my community... If you go to, like, the mentions tab, which is a different thing. Are you Parker? Let me see. That's so cute! Are you Parker? I'm making sure. Dude, this is the cutest. Here, I'm gonna save image as. I'm gonna show this to you guys. Hold on. I have a question. Inkle, would you prefer to be credited? Because if you're okay, I'll post this on my website too. Would you rather be credited as Parker Animates or your Twitch username? I'm assuming Parker Animates. I just want to give you the option of what you would prefer. Here, I'm saving it. Parker? Okay, cool. Yeah, if you guys ever make fan art, please let me know. I do have a gallery on my website to like show it all off. And then here, let me show you guys this. This is so cute. I absolutely love this. I'm gonna use this for my schedule photo, if that's okay with you. Would you be okay with that? I haven't posted my schedule for this week yet. Oh no, I just clicked the wrong thing. Dang it. That was not how that was supposed to be. It was supposed to be this image. That's okay? Cool. Thank you. I always credit you guys whenever I do that. I just want to make sure, you know, everybody's on the same page. Hold on, it's big resolution. I'm trying to downsize it to fit my screen. Look at this art! The ankle made! Look at this! This is adorable! I love this! I love it so much. I even got the Bible here! This is adorable! This is some... If you guys don't know, that's my other outfit, because I'm low-key a magical girl. So, that's my magical girl outfit. But that is, like, the cutest ever. I absolutely love it. It looks so good. Thank you so much! I appreciate it! Alright, that one's going on the fridge. Well, there you go. And everybody should be back from ads now, so that's perfect. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And let me, of course, give that a nice like as well. Okay! Awesome! That made me really happy. Thank you for that, Parker. I really appreciate it. Okay, sleeves made me think of Jojo. Well, that's how my sleeves actually look. See? Hee. My sleeves are transparent. I never use my arm toggles. I should use them more. I need to get... If I could get like a foot pedal, I could like foot pedal my arm toggles. But I have all sorts of stuff. Yeah! Okay, well... I guess let's get back to where we were at here real quick. See? I love the PowerPoint. Yeah, I tried to, you know, improve from last week. Always learning. Okay, so... Other examples. So, and this is of people that, you know, did something wrong and had a direct consequence / suffered because of said consequence of your actions, basically. Adam and Eve, they ate the fruit they weren't supposed to. They got kicked out of, you know, the Garden of Eden. No, I have a stream deck. I hate having to reach over and press it. People use foot pedals also, so they can, like, continue what they're doing, but do it with their foot, rather than having to take their hand off, like, the keyboard and stuff. But no, I have a stream deck. It's a totally separate thing. Thank you, SC. I really try. Next up, we have King Saul. He was also, you know, disobeying God a little bit after being placed in a position of power, so... he got replaced. Yeah, no more being king, because if you're not gonna listen to God and if you're gonna listen to, you know, outside sources, sorry, bro, bye-bye. Same with Moses. You know, Moses ended up not being able to enter the promised land. You have Lot's wife. This is more like a permanent kind of consequence, I guess. She low-key turned to salt. So that really isn't a consequence you can really come back from. And then there's, I don't know how to say this name. Does anyone know how to say... I don't know if it's Akan. I'm assuming it's probably Akan. But this was around the time after, you know, fighting Jericho. Essentially, God told them not to plunder, like, the place that they went and, you know, took over. And he was like, don't take anything. I pronounce it... Aiken? Yeah, Achan. It was Achan. Okay, Achan. He ended up stealing a bunch of stuff. I actually looked up how much it was earlier today. If I remember, he took from the place where God said, you know, after you go, like, take over the city, like, don't take anything, don't plunder. He took a robe, 200 shekels of silver, and then, like, a 50 shekel gold bar, something like that, secretly. And so when Israel, like, they went to go fight this next city, or take over this next city, they got their butts whooped. And everyone's like, yo, bro, why did we lose? Achan? Or Achan, I guess? That makes sense. But he took the stuff and they're like, why did we lose? And well, it's because God told you not to take stuff from the last people, and somebody did. They find out essentially everything that he took. And this is also like a consequence you don't really come back from. Unfortunately, man was stoned, as well as, unfortunately, his children. And then they burned down all of his possessions, including the stuff he stole. But here's the great thing, is that the next time they went to go fight the same city that just whooped their butts, they won. It was super easy. They had no issue there. And this time God said they could keep some of the stuff they got. So again, sometimes when bad things happen, it's because God told you to do something and you didn't listen. Now that takes, you know, a lot of introspection to be honest about the fact that you're not listening to God. And so it's less that God is giving a punishment and more so that he's kind of, you know, knocking on your door like, hey, just a reminder, like, you remember that promise, right? Again, like Jonah, where it's not necessarily a direct punishment sometimes, but I would call it a wake-up call. And I'm doing good, Dan. I think about that every time I feel like something doesn't go my way, because it's so true. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about, like, sometimes, you know, things are not a direct cause of your actions. Google says his name is, like, Achan? I see. Okay, well, fair. The more you know. A lot of the names from the Bible can sometimes be a little more difficult if you don't, like, look it up. And I, unfortunately, did not think to look up the pronunciation as I was typing this. And so then for the verse I have here, I have Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And it's basically what I talk about. We don't know God's will. We might think we know God's will. We might think we're doing fine. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be listening to ourselves. We should be listening to God, because he is ultimately the one that knows everything. And that's where it says, like, we can plan for the future and what we're going to do. But, you know, God is the one that makes things happen. So if we're not willing to listen to God, things are not always going to go our way. And we see that consistently. Yeah, Proverbs, dude, you know, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Psalms, all of them, they're all good for their own reasons. Absolutely. Where's my mouse? Here it is. Okay, and this goes into what we are already sort of talking to. It's the art of redirection. Now, what is the definition of redirection? Redirection is turning something toward a new place, path, or purpose. So, redirection is not the same as mindless punishment, and that's something we have to remember. What is this? I watched Anime Girl play Alien Isolation. Now she's teaching me Bible with a PowerPoint presentation. This is not my bingo card. Hi, Axe. Welcome in. Yes, I do Sunday Bible studies. I know some VTubers that are Christian, they might have all of their stuff be Bible Christian content. Not me personally. I do my Sunday streams, but every other time I play Vidya games. But everybody is welcome here, whether you're religious or not. We're just talking about essentially struggles and how to overcome them and find perseverance. So yeah. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I stayed up till 4 a.m. last night playing Alien Isolation. I had a lot of people cheering me on for it. Okay, so that's redirection. So God doesn't mindlessly punish anybody. This is a W? Alright, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Basically, crash course. Last week we talked about suffering, what it is, why it happens, and why God allows it to continue, because I know that's something a lot of people struggle with, especially non-Christians or baby Christians. And this week we're talking about suffering a little more in depth on why it happens, and what we can do about it, and how God can use it for good. And I did get plenty of sleep, don't worry guys. And right now we're talking about how sometimes whenever we face problems, they're fixable. We're not always going to get the answer we want, but it's the answer we need. And we just briefly touched upon Jonah. We're talking about how sometimes whenever we come up against struggle and obstacles in our life, it's because God is trying to tell us, hey, maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing right now. Which again leads us into the art of redirection. So here's the thing. God does not like to see us suffer. And again, that's something that a lot of people, especially non-Christians, try to say. They're like, oh, if your God allows blah, blah, blah to happen, then, like, you must not be good, blah, blah. God does not like to see us suffer, guys. But just like any good parent, sometimes redirection is needed. Like, imagine, I know I do have an audience that's a little older, so I might have a lot of you here that already have kids. Not everyone does. I don't have kids. But I know I might have some parents here. And you can probably relate, or even if you've nannied or been around a younger sibling, sometimes kids just do the darndest things. I'll leave it that way because it's nicer that way. But sometimes you just gotta tell them to stop. You're like, look, I love you, but you cannot keep doing this. And that's how God is to us too. He does not put obstacles and barriers in our path because he wants to see us in pain. He does it because we are going to be hurting ourselves or others around us. And just like a kid, it's like... Alright, I have to put my little sister on blast for a minute. My little sister, she stuck a fork in the light socket when we were kids, bro. She got electrocuted. So it's like, if you're a parent and you see your child holding a metal fork about to put it in a light socket, you would stop them, wouldn't you? Like, you would grab them and yank their hand away. And the kid might cry and be like, why would you do that? You, like, hurt my arm whenever you yanked me away. But dude, if you had let the kid stick the fork in the light socket, they would have gotten electrocuted and it would have been a really bad time. She's fine, fortunately, but, she actually did this at school, by the way. My little sister, like, did it at school. I don't know if it was a fork. It was something metal she shoved in there. But yeah, it caused an issue. My parents got a phone call home that day. So... Yeah. So again, in the moment... we might be like that kid, where we're just thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna stick the fork in the light socket. And then God comes and yanks our hand away, and we might be like, God, why did you hurt my wrist? Why did you do this to me? But little did you know, he was saving you from, like, the worst electric shock of your life. So again... It's important to think about the bigger picture. God doesn't like to see us suffer. If God's snatching our hand away, it's not because he wants to hurt our wrist from snatching our hand away. It's because he loves us and doesn't want us to do stupid things that hurt ourselves or the people around her. Not her, around us. It's because I was reading the thing about my sister. Fred probably did. I don't know what happened, to be honest. So yeah. That's basically how it goes. God is not punishing us to punish us. It's just sometimes in order to stop us from doing stupid stuff, he has to, you know, put a physical barrier there. Because otherwise we're just gonna do dumb things. Because we're humans, we're dumb, you know? And that's why we're children of God. Because we too are children trying to stick forks in electrical sockets sometimes. So yeah, it goes into the next point of when we disobey, sometimes we need physical consequences or a physical barrier to remind us that maybe we shouldn't be doing what we're currently doing. I'm thinking about that right now as well. My main daily daily driver's out of commission. So I have to use this 98 Corolla, but maybe it saved me from crashing the car I love. Absolutely, that's a really positive way to think about it. And then also another thing to remember is that even if we did... Oh, I just realized, kitty treats! Hold on! Kitty treat time. Let me turn on the light in the kitty area. Alright guys, we're gonna have a kitty break. Kitty break! Oh dude, there's already 3 cats! Y'all are in luck. Where are the treats? Huh? Oh, here they are. Okay. Whammy is on the couch. Pandora... Oh, she's already running. She's like, food? Food? Snacks? Alright, Pandora left, but I gave her hers. She just walked out of the area. So there you go. Kitty treats! Yum, 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 yum. You get mandatory kitty break. Move this here to me. Boom. Perfect. Here, I'll give him a little head pet also. Whammy didn't want the head pet. Alright, there you go. Quick kitty break. Is that the regular room or just for stream? This is technically a closet that is currently at my feet, like directly in front of me. I just converted because I didn't need the extra storage space, so it works as a nice dedicated kitty area. Came at the right time. Yeah, I know I'm pale. I get it. I get it. It could be worse. It's at least lighting. It's the cat hole. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Streaming closet. It also has my stuffed animals here. Hold on. If you guys didn't know, I love plushies. You can see the axolotl fell here. Let me... I focused on Sans Undertale, so you can see my Sans Undertale plushie. I hovered over him for a nice long moment. Just so you can see. Hold on, I need to straighten this. Okay, there we go. That's better. Fluffy and squishy? Yeah, I have a ton. I do have Squishmallows. It is Build-A-Bear Toothless. I have the Light Fury there also. I have both of them. They're secretly giant cats laying down in real-size couch. Yes, it's true. They're huge. Alright, let me turn the kitty cam back off. But yeah, that's the area. So it's, all of my stuffed animals are watching me, and then also my cats are hanging out there too. Yeah, it was my plushie tour epic. I was showing that the kitty cam area is also where all of my, stuffed animals are. And good night, Ting. Take care of yourself. Okay. As I was saying, back to this point, God always welcomes us back. It doesn't matter how many stupid, dumb things that we do or mistakes we make, God is always here for us. And, you know, if you want to read more about that, look at the Prodigal Son story. Lamentations 3:31 through 33. For the Lord will not cast off forever, but though he cause grief, he will have compassion according to the abundance of his steadfast love. For he does not afflict from his heart or grieve the children of men. And that's basically what we talked about, is God doesn't want to see us suffer. And although sometimes he might have to slap us on a wrist, he still absolutely loves us. And he's doing it not because he wants to hurt us, but because he loves us and wants to protect us from doing things that would harm us. So yeah, I do not have Nerf guns. I do not have Nerf guns, really. I'm not a girly girl. I wouldn't call myself a girly girl. Not really. So now that we've gone over this, the next big point that I find important to mention is suffering does not mean God hates you. And that's kind of what we just said. God does not cause pain because he wants to see you suffer. He only does it because he loves you and something else is coming out of it. There's always a silver lining. You might not see the silver lining, but it's out there for somebody else. That makes me cry because I want to get closer to him. And sometimes I feel like I'm too far gone. No one is too far gone, DX. I know exactly how you feel. And I struggled with that for a long time. But there is no such thing as too far gone. Go brush up on the Prodigal Son, my friend. Nobody's ever too far gone. God is just happy we want to come back to him. A landmine? Yeah, a little. There's always a lesson. Exactly. And that leads us into our next thing. So we talked about fixable problems, and those are the ones that oftentimes tend to be, maybe we're doing something we shouldn't. And that's why God is trying to redirect us. But what about unfixable problems? Because you might be like, oh, Miki, well, like, what possibly could this be redirecting me from? For example, I believe, what was the name? Was it Spirit? I think it was Spirit, something like that on YouTube. I don't know if you're still here. I'm trying to remember your username. But was talking about disability, for example, because as I've mentioned before, I myself am disabled, and it really sucks. It really sucks. It's something that I've been struggling to come to terms with over the last couple years, which is, again, a huge reason for even doing these lessons, is because even now sometimes I struggle, and I'm like, man, God, what could I possibly have done to, like, deserve this. And that's where I want to remind you that, like, it doesn't always mean you deserve it. God isn't punishing you. He's not doing it because he wants to see you in pain. So some examples of unfixable problems. Okay, unfixable problems. They're unavoidable. It means literally nothing you could have possibly done could have prevented them from happening. For example, layoffs. We talked about financial problems. Sometimes it just happens. Business shuts down. They have to cut down on workers, whatever. Having a sudden medical condition, whether it can be you have a severe injury and it causes you to become disabled, or a sudden health condition, things like that. Especially ones that are untreatable. Good night, Tyler. Take care of yourself, and hi, Lo-Fi. Welcome in. Now these things, whenever we encounter these problems, they're often not a direct effect of one's own actions. Like, obviously there are some examples, like, let's say you're riding a motorcycle, being really reckless. I don't know if there's anybody here that's a motorcycle rider. If you are, please do not be speeding. Don't weave through traffic. Please wear your protective helmet and other stuff. Don't be reckless. So sometimes, yeah, like, let's say you get really injured from that. Obviously, you could have stopped that from happening, but the damage is already done. But generally speaking, a lot of these problems tend to not be a direct, effect or consequence of one's own action. I know the feeling it can be hard for sure, but we can rest that even though it doesn't feel like it, he does hear us. He may not always answer right away, but he does hear us. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about exactly how to do that here in the future, Imperial. So when we encounter problems that feel unfixable or, not directly our own fault, it leads us to feel way more hopeless than when it comes to fixable problems. Because if you know there's a definitive end to your suffering, it's a lot easier to get through. But what happens when there is no definitive end? Again, take me, for example. I was diagnosed several years ago with a degenerative autoimmune disease that has no cure. Since then, I have developed several other autoimmune diseases. My quality of life has declined. I am still very young, but I've basically lost my entire young adulthood, and a lot of times I struggle. Like, man, my life ended before it even began. And that's why VTubing has been a really great thing for me. It gives me some sense of normalcy and be able to do stuff, even though I can't really leave my home or do a lot of stuff that I used to. So I struggle with it a lot sometimes. I'm like, man, God, why me? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't even get better. Like, obviously, God is fully capable of miraculously, like, I just wake up one day and I'm fully cured of everything. But obviously, it's unrealistic, because I know I'm not the only person stuck in these shoes. So it's a little naive to assume God would miraculously cure me rather than anyone else. And that's where we have to remind ourselves that sometimes, even when it comes to these long-term unfixable problems, there's a reason for it. And it can be really hard to see that initially, especially whenever it's really difficult. Again, for like me and my illnesses. But they're there. And that's where I go into the next point of it requires us to really trust the process and try to see the big picture. I touched upon this a little bit last week. But specifically, in order for me to be here talking to you guys today, several bad things had to happen. Not only did I have to get horribly betrayed by some people I thought were very close friends of me, and this is in real life, by the way, that caused a lot of problems for me, said a lot of horrible things, and spread a lot of lies about me on social media, because I'm not gonna go into the whole detail. It's still a really sore subject for me, but let's just say they, like, stole some money from me, were treating me like garbage, and whenever I tried to privately confront them about it, they decided to not take accountability, and instead they tried to make me look crazy to everyone else. And like, oh, we would never do that. Actually, Uno reverse, you did that to us. And it was really confusing. It led to me deleting all of my social media, essentially, like, getting really bad trust issues, to where I lost all my friends because I was too scared of people doing that to me again. So that had to happen first. And after that happened, I still wanted to be online, but I wanted to be a little bit more removed. So it made me get interested in VTubing. And so I decided to do that so I could VTube, anonymously. And then after I started VTubing, A couple years ago, I unfortunately became fully and permanently disabled, which required me to, quit my job and basically lose everything I had in my life. Which really sucked. And the only thing I had left was VTubing. But through the grace of God, I was able to turn it into a job, and now I'm here. Now I'm here getting to spread God's word as a little anime girl online. And that would have not happened if it hadn't been for me being really betrayed. Hideki, thank you so much for the super. I also suffer with health issues, and I sometimes say, why me? Then I remember how Paul says that in all his struggles he counts small joy. Yes, absolutely. With Paul's thorn, I talked about that last week. Yeah, so if it weren't for me getting backstabbed by people very close to me, and followed by me becoming, disabled permanently and totally, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now. And so it's easy to see when you're on the other side of like, you know what, maybe it wasn't all so bad. I still struggle sometimes, but God used those bad things that happened to me to get me in a good place. Just like with Joseph. Do you think Joseph wanted to go be a slave and then get thrown in prison? No. But thanks to that happening to him, he was able to save all of Egypt. So that's where we have to remember sometimes, is that while we're going through these really difficult issues, there's always an other side. There's always a light at the other end of the tunnel. It might take a really, 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 really long time to get to the other side of the tunnel. But you can get there if you hang in. Getting a semicolon necklace, I respect you. Good job, Avery. I'm super happy for you. Many people suffer things like CPTSD and carry that. Absolutely, yeah. I try to be very upfront because not only am I an advocate for Christ, but I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I talked a little bit about my testimony before, but if you're new here, I have struggled a lot with mental health problems. It's part of the reason that I stepped away from God, because whenever I was a teenager going through things, like Steve said, I suffered with CPTSD and a lot of other problems. I struggled with self-harm. I attempted to take my life multiple times and ended up hospitalized many, many times throughout my adolescence. And I really, really struggled. And so that's why I'm such a huge advocate now, is I'm in a much better place. Do I still struggle sometimes? Absolutely. Do I still have thoughts of harming myself? Absolutely. Those things do not go away. And that's where I try to be honest with people, is that God can save you and pull you out of those problems. But it's up to us to continue forward and try to be mindful and lean on God when we're having those issues. It's okay sometimes to still have those thoughts. Don't blame yourself for them, because that's not your fault. The devil likes to get in our heads and make us think that's the solution, but that's where you have to be strong enough to recognize that's the devil trying to convince you to do bad things, and you have to turn to God in those moments. Again, it's the whole like flee from sin. Where you have to be like, you know what? I recognize I'm having these negative thoughts right now, but that just means I need to turn to God and trust that He's going to help me out here. So again, I've had a really, really, really rough life, and I try to be honest with that. Hideki, thank you so much for becoming a member. But I've been through the trenches, and I resonate a lot with a lot of Bible stories because of that. Just the feeling of really hitting rock bottom. So they never really go away. And I wish I could say they do, but they don't, Avery. It gets easier. The thoughts become less, but the problem is that once the devil gets inside you, and especially leads you into those extents of self-harm, whether it be suicide or, things like other forms of self-harm. I'm not going to go into it. I know it's a triggering subject for a lot of people. But the devil kind of has a permanent grip on you. Not in the sense that he can do anything, but the devil likes to poke at our sore spots and our insecurities. So even if you recover from those kinds of harmful thoughts, they like to come back and haunt you sometimes, because whenever you're doing good, the devil likes to sneak in there and be like, oh, but look how bad things are. You should just do this. And again, that's where you still get the thoughts, but that's where it comes to managing your triggers. And we talk about that a little bit later in my slides as well. Like, for example, me personally, this is, again, I'm going to tell everybody to, like, close your ears if you're someone that, struggles with topics like self-harm and things like that. I'm not going into details by any means, but I think these are important conversations to have. So if that's something that's really sensitive, close your ears for a minute or two and come back. But for me personally, whenever I was in my teenage years, I talk about, the being hospitalized stuff, but for a long time, I did personally struggle with cutting myself. It was something I struggled with for years, actually. And the devil for a long time, even after I got better, you know, I struggled with relapses. I haven't in a really long time. I'm proud of myself. Yeah. But one thing for me that I recognized was a trigger, and a lot of people that have struggled with self-harm might relate to this, which is where I said, you know, close your ears if these things still are a little triggering for you. But I struggled with pencil sharpeners, which sounds silly. But for me personally, whenever I was a teenager, that was a very easy way for me to have access to razor blades, breaking them apart. Not gonna get into it, because again, I don't want to encourage these kinds of thoughts, but for me personally, I realized that having those kinds of objects around the house were incredibly triggering for me. So that anytime I would get sad, seeing the sight of an object like a pencil sharpener would instantly give me what I call bad thoughts, which is essentially where the devil would sneak in. Like, let's say something bad happened, I'm crying, I turn and I look at it, and the devil would use that as a way to get into my head and be like, you should do that. You should hurt yourself. And so I had to recognize that that was a trigger for me, and I had to be responsible for my own triggers and eliminate that. I use mechanical pencils now. I use pens now, things like that, because I had to be an adult enough to recognize that the devil was using objects like that to essentially implant negative thoughts in my head. Pharaoh, thank you so much for becoming a member. So that's what I say, is that those thoughts never go away. But if you properly manage your triggers, whether it be, you know, a lot of people go to therapy, they have medication, but also just, again, simple as like objects that remind you of bad things. Removing those visual triggers can really help them go away, and over time it does get easier. They're never going to fully go away because sometimes things will happen that put you back in those negative moments and thought processes, but it definitely can get easier. Because you can learn to manage them. And the second you feel that thought, you can turn to God rather than letting it, like, run away in your mind, if that makes sense. Sometimes we as humans need to hear the harsh truth. Absolutely. Massive respect to you, Miki. I'm chatting on my personal, not mod account here. I'm not about to get in my own business. These Sunday streams are beneficial. I'm glad, Clovar. I'm glad it's been able to help people, for sure. But there you go. There's a little something about me that's, like, again, vulnerable. Again, the whole point of me having these streams, guys, is I'm trying to be vulnerable too. I don't want anybody to think I have all of my stuff together or I'm perfect, because I'm not. I struggle a lot as well, and I think it's way more beneficial to be real and let you guys know that I'm also struggling so that we can all struggle together. Because community is important, because that's why, you know, God encourages us to find community and find people around us, because we need people around us to hold us accountable and remind us that we're not alone. Because although God might not be here in like a physical, tangible sense, like obviously God's here with us. We know that as Christians. But basically, we can't see him like we can see our mom and dad or our best friend. He's not like physically standing there where we can like give him a physical hug. But that's where it's important for us to find community and people around us, because remember, Christ lives in all of us. And so by hugging your mom and dad, you basically are hugging God. You're hugging Jesus, you know? And that's why it's important to find community. Thank you, Emperor. And thank you, Cool. I appreciate it. Yeah. One thing that always surprises me is how the best way to find more people around you is through people you already know. Absolutely. Thank you. You made my night. No problem, Avery. Take care of yourself. And God bless you. Hang in there. Hang in there, brother or sister. I don't know anybody's gender, but hang in there. My sibling in Christ. How about that? Sibling in Christ. God loves you. God's watching out for you, whatever you're struggling with. So I guess let's circle back around to what we were initially talking about. But sorry, I'm finding my spot. Okay, so we basically covered everything on this slide. The verse I have here is Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And that leads us into the next part of, you know, we're going to start talking about how we handle these situations. And the best way that we can handle these types of situations is just remembering to fully lean on God. And remember that God's got it covered. Even if we feel really scared and alone, God is going to make sure we pull through in a way that is beneficial. God goes through the path of least resistance, which means he wants as many people to, like, come out unscathed as possible. And so, sometimes you might be caught in the crossfire. It's kind of like, you know, the trolley problem, you guys? Where it's like, it's impossible to progress without someone getting hurt. But God wants to go through the path of least resistance, and sometimes that means you're gonna get burned. But you got burned so that a bunch of other people didn't have to. And that can hurt to hear as Christians, but that's where we have to be honest and remember that God's will is more important than our own, because we're supposed to be, you know, the bearers of Christ, and we're supposed to be doing his will in order to help others, because that's why God sent his son Jesus to die on the cross. He didn't want to die on the cross. I mean, does anyone want to be crucified in such a horrific way? No. But he did it so that the rest of us could be saved. And we're called to be like Jesus and be willing to, you know, lay down ourselves for the people around us so that we can help them. And it's a way that we can feel closer to Christ. So sometimes, essentially, bad things happen. We just got to hang in there because God is doing it, because whatever his big master plan is, this was, remember, the least painful path. And that's something I feel as Christians it's important to remember too. That whatever pain you're feeling is the least painful way God could have handled the situation. Because again, God does not like to see us suffer. And no problem, Epic, take care of yourself. Exactly, and I found that you've been through so much and you're still able to do this and you haven't given up spreading the word. It's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's why I'm talking about suffering, because the more I struggle, the more I feel closer to God. And that's where we talked about last week with Paul and his thorn. So Paul has a thorn. There's a lot of debate on what exactly his thorn is. By thorn, it's obviously metaphorical. It's something that really, really bothers him and like constantly messes up his life. And again, there's a lot of argument as to what it is, so we're not going into that. But 3 times he asks God, he's like, God, or Jesus, you know, look at all these great things I've done. Like, look at all these people I've helped. Like, I'm a good dude. Can you please just get rid of this now? And God tells him no. And that's where he tells him that God's power is made perfect in our weakness. Because here's the thing. Only through full submission can God work through us. And that means being willing to just let go. And just recognize that whatever God's doing is the best way to do it. And so even whenever we're struggling, that's how I make myself feel better about this situation. I'm like, I might feel like crap right now, but God is using me feeling like crap to help a bunch of other people. And it makes me feel good knowing that somehow there are other people out there getting something good out of it. In the same way as, you know, all the bad things that have happened in my life. Now I have the wisdom God has given me. Alice, thank you for subbing on YouTube. Now I have the wisdom to be able to help other people. Am I happy that bad things happen to me? And like I suffered through, you know, a lot of trauma and mental illness? No. Am I happy that I got diagnosed with like a degenerative disease and like am having 0 quality of life? Absolutely not. But I recognize that through this, not only has it brought me closer to God, because it's forced me to learn to lean on him and trust him, but also it's given me the wisdom and experience to be able to encourage other people, because when other people come to me with their problems, I can be like, I know what you're going through. I know how that feels. Because it's one thing if people... You know, like, it's one thing to see someone be like, oh, bro, I'm sorry that's happening to you. Like, that really sucks. But I've never been through it. But it's another if you've been through it with them. If that makes sense. Because now you're like, I know exactly how it feels to be going through this situation. So again, it's a whole wisdom thing. And so, ironically, the reason I started doing these Bible studies is because I was reading about Paul. A couple weeks ago, I was crying really, really hard. Again, goes back to my whole health situation. And I was crying to myself, and I'm like, God, what could I have possibly done to, like, deserve to live a life so horrible, essentially? And obviously, I instantly felt convicted, because obviously, I knew that's not a great way to think. So I turned to my Bible, which is what we're going to be talking about later, is, you know, how to handle when we feel this horrible feeling of, like, why does my life suck so much? And that's where I got into reading about Paul and his thorn, and the whole idea that, you know, God's power is made perfect in our weakness through submission and learning to rely on him. And as I was reading that, I just felt like really, really strong conviction. I'm like, God, you're right. Because one comment that stood out to me with Paul is that he mentioned that his thorn helped him to remain humble. And that's where I talked about earlier briefly in the stream, spiritual complacency. Because when everything is going good in our lives, it's really easy to forget the Lord. And it's really easy to start slacking reading our Bible or slacking with prayer. But again, the second something bad happens, we're so eager to call God and be like, God, help me, help me, help me. Well, why weren't you talking to God in the other times? Why does it take something bad happening to talk to God? But that's where I'm trying to reframe my thought. And this goes with the whole unfixable problems. If you genuinely cannot fix your problem, then you need to reframe your thought process. And everybody has a thorn, just like Paul. Again, for me, it is my physical health and disability. It can't be changed. Maybe in the future, they'll find cures and treatments that'll work, but as it stands, that doesn't matter. What matters now is that, generally speaking, this is just how it is, and I just have to learn to live with it. So rather than being sad about something completely unfixable, I have to change my thought process. And the way that I've coped is by thinking, man, God... And this is a legit... This isn't even just me having copium. If I did not struggle as much as I did, I would not pray to God as much as I do. Like, let's be honest. Again, it's really hard to read our Bibles consistently. I'm sure we can all agree with that. It's hard to remember to read our Bible when we're busy. Or to pray, you know, when we wake up, when we eat, when we go to sleep. But my physical ailments cause me to be praying to God literally 24/7. Because every time I start struggling with pain or sickness, I just cry to God. And, you know, I get in my Bible to find comfort. And if it were not for my health, I would have no reason to constantly be praying or reading my Bible to get closer to God. So if I think about it logically, if it were not for these bad things in my life, I would not nearly be as close to God as I currently am. So in a way, I'm really happy that bad things have happened to me because it's allowed me to feel much closer to God. And, you know... That's not even copium. That's literally how God uses these things, is to bring us closer because God loves it when we talk to him. And sometimes he's got to give us a thorn, nothing deadly, but like Paul said, just a thorn in our side that every time it starts to hurt a little bit, it's a reminder that God is there and that we should be talking to him. So anyways, that's like my little side tangent. And welcome in, Crow, also. Sorry, I got there too. And hi out there. Even though I'm not really religious, it's been good listening to you. My life is going a bit bad, but I'm sure it'll get better. And I'll definitely check your streams out later. Definitely gonna check. Yeah, of course. I'm glad you're here, Funky. Again, everybody is welcome, whether Christian or otherwise, because although obviously this is a Christian stream, we're talking about the Bible, we're talking about God. I truly believe that the Bible and Christianity, there are a lot of things to learn regardless of whether you believe in God or not. So, you know, am I biased? I'm a Christian and I want everyone else to eventually come to know God? Absolutely, because God has changed my life and helped me so much. And I want other people to feel these wonderful things also. And so obviously, yeah, I'm biased. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, I don't care if you're Christian. Obviously, I would love for people to become Christian, but that's ultimately a choice you have to make for yourself. So beyond just talking about God, I just want to help people in general, even people that are not Christian. And I think there's a lot of good things that can come out of the Bible in terms of how to cope with difficult situations, etc. So yeah, that's why everybody is welcome. I wouldn't be religious if my life wasn't a challenge. Exactly. Because again, it goes back to a good life leads to spiritual complacency. Inclusivity is great. Thanks for being welcoming. Of course, of course. Sometimes I feel like the way I pray is wrong. When I pray, I'm sorry I keep asking Jesus, I feel... We're actually going to be talking about that later, DX, also. We're going to be talking... Okay, here, let me give you all a spoiler alert on what we're going to be talking about here soon. We're about to go into Job. I'll be talking about how to, you know, get a routine with God where you're talking to him, how to properly pray. Which, spoiler alert, there's not really a right or wrong way, necessarily. Obviously, you can be more formal or informal. But as long as you're being respectful, God just wants to hear you talk, man. You don't have to apologize to him, and I'll show you my favorite piece of scripture specifically about that also. But here, let's move on, because we're... What am I on? I'm only on number 13 of 23. We got a lot of slides to go. Oh, I skipped 2. Okay, story of Job. Okay, most people know Job. Essentially, God, Satan, they're arguing. Satan is like, yo, God, the only reason Job loves you so much is because you give him good stuff. I bet if it weren't for all the blessings you've given him, he would easily, like, abandon you. And then God is like, nuh-uh, I don't agree. Job would love me either way. So he agrees to, you know, let Satan test Job. And Job essentially goes forth to lose everything. Literally everything. And his life sucks. Obviously, you can read all about this in the entire book of Job, which is like 40-something chapters. It's a long thing, but I'm giving you like the spark notes here. So as this is all happening, Job has the breakdown that we're all so familiar with of God, why? What could I possibly have done to deserve this? What possibly could I have done? I agree I'm an atheist as well and have come to appreciate Christianity. I grew up being taught to hate religion, so I don't think I'll ever believe, but I've grown to like the Christian faith. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing too, and as a Christian, I believe that that's the best way to warm people up. If you want to convert people to Christianity, fire and brimstone isn't the way. You know, show people how God has worked through you, all the great things he's done. Let them come to their own conclusions. And sometimes that might mean that, you know, people, they might not convert, but they might just be like, yeah, Christianity's good. And I'm not saying, Maki, that like, oh, you're definitely going to become Christian someday. I hope you don't take that the wrong way. But it's more like, if your goal is truly to convert people, the best way to do that is to just talk about all the good things that God does. And people will naturally be drawn to learn more, and sometimes that might lead to them changing their minds. So yeah, you know, always happy to have everybody around. Hi Wesley, welcome in. You know what, if I'm honest, I've never really felt like I had a person I could look up to, because I never felt like I could relate super hard with anyone. Your testimony and all your works you put in despite all you go through is inspiring. You stay close to God through everything, and it's helping me improve my relationship too. Thank you, Miki, for being so consistent with your streams and using this platform to have... you have to spread the good news. I'm glad, Wesley. It makes me so happy when I hear you guys talking about that stuff. Again, I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together, but I just want to remind everyone, it's like High School Musical. We're in High School Musical. We're all in this together. Everyone has a part. Yeah, that's literally us. Like, I just want everybody to know, whether you're Christian, you're not Christian, whatever, we're all in the trenches together, bro. We're all trying to figure it out together. So I'm by no means perfect. I'm just like anybody else. And, you know, that's why we have to learn to rely on each other. In the same way as God, community is important. Always makes me chuckle how Job's wife is left alive just to add to his torment. Yeah, there's so much that goes on in the book of Job. It's a good read. It's a good read. I highly recommend it. It's just very long, so obviously I have to condense everything a bit. I like to say that if Job could remain faithful to God even on the verge of death, you certainly can too. Yeah! And my conversation started with, hey, Jesus is pretty chill. Took over a decade? Exactly, that's always the start. Off topic, but you ever think about doing movie night or TV shows? I personally have not. It's not really my thing. I know a lot of people talk about reaction content, which I classify that as reaction. Maybe one day. I'm just not really sure. I'm still finding my stride as a creator as well. I mean, I've been here, what? Like 6 months or so? So I'm still figuring things out. But I can say I have a lot of cool things coming in the future for y'all to look forward to, especially in regards to, you know, Christian and worship and all that stuff. I still haven't seen the evidence, but I'm a cultural Christian. After being introduced to others, I can appreciate what we have. Yeah. Two of my close friends are suicidal and depressed. Do you have any advice on how I can help them out? You might have some insight to someone who's experienced it. I try to be there for them, but I know it's a temporary solution. And also, they don't want to hear about Jesus and Christian mindset. I can help, so I feel like I could bother them. Okay, well, here's the thing. Now, this is where it goes back to the whole you can't force... You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And obviously, if you're coming at it from a Christian perspective, if they're really not wanting to listen to it, maybe they're not ready to hear that stuff. And that's the way I structure my conversations here tonight as well. You can still give the same messages without having to, you know, force them, oh, just talk to Jesus. He'll fix everything for you. I think the best thing you can do is remind them that you're there for them. And the best thing you can do for anyone that is struggling is to listen. Don't just talk, just listen. Let them cry it out. Let them say everything that's bothering them. And rather than trying to do things yourself, ask them what would help them. Because I know that's something that whenever I was younger and struggling, I wish people would have done for me. Because it was really easy. Everyone wanted to come and they would all, like, give me advice. Or they would, like, try to give me things or do things for me to make me feel better. But I didn't want any of that. I didn't need any of that. What I really needed was someone to just listen to me. And for someone to ask me what I wanted, rather than assuming what could help me, I needed someone to ask me what I needed or what I felt was missing. And obviously prayer. Absolutely prayer. Pray about things. Hideki, thank you for the super again. I always like to refer to 2 Corinthians 12:9, which reads, "My grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness." Exactly! That's the exact chapter I was talking about with Paul's thorn and everything. Perfect. You know exactly what we were talking about. But yeah, SC, I would say the best thing you can do is pray about it and just listen. More than anything, listen and ask them what they might need. Because what you think they need might be different than what they actually feel like they need. And so the best thing we can do is just be open for other people to come to. And, you know, be a judgment-free zone. Listening does wonders. Most people just want to be heard instead of being told. Exactly. Sometimes giving someone advice is the worst thing you can do. It's just going to make them feel worse. Because people are probably shoving the advice all the time. This will make you feel better. That'll make you feel better. But what they really need is someone to just listen to them, let it all out. Just to feel heard. I can agree with that. Been in that dark place a lot and recently again. Sometimes people just need to know you're there for them. Nothing else. Exactly. It can be as simple as like, hey, just so you know, if you ever want to play video games with me, like, I'm always open. Or like, if you ever need someone to talk to, you can just call me. I won't even give you advice. I'll just be there to listen. You know? This is a perfect quote for this matter. As I say, this is a very cantankerous, independent theologian. God be with you. Yeah! Yeah, that's basically the advice I would give you, SC. Just let them cry it out. See what they need. So back with the story of Job. So again, literally everything got taken away. Job had the very familiar breakdown of, God, what the heck could I have done to deserve all of these bad things happening to me? What did I do? And, you know, here we have Job 10:2-3. I say to God, do not declare me guilty, but tell me what charges you have against me. Does it please you to oppress me, to spurn the work of my hands while you smile on the plans of the wicked? And this goes back to also the breakdown we have of where I told you guys that, you know, God does not like to see us suffer. But sometimes when things are going really bad, we're like, man, is God just a sadist? But, you know, spoiler alert, he's not. And no problem, SE. So, essentially it goes on, and Job has some friends, and they're kind of arguing about why he is suffering so much. And why God is doing all these things. And, you know, one of the guys is like, oh, well, you know, God punishes people for doing bad things and rewards people for doing good things. It's black and white. And then Job is like, you know what? I'm not a perfect dude, but I definitely don't feel like I've done anything bad enough to deserve all of this that's happening to me. Hi, Neon. Welcome in. And so basically, after they've been arguing and stuff, God comes down and is like, all right, chat, break it up. And he's like, how dare you pretend you know my will? Or what's going on? Because remember, the whole reason this is happening to Job is not because he did something bad. It was literally just an argument between God and Satan. Because Satan was like, I bet the only reason he loves you is because you give him nice things. And so, yeah, the streamer lexicon came out there for a moment. And so it was literally the only reason this happened. Job didn't necessarily do anything bad. It was literally just an argument between Satan and God. And literally all this happened to Job just for God to prove a point to the devil. Which, like, when you think about it, I mean, it kind of sucks. Job was probably like, man, I went through all of this just so you could prove a point to the devil? Like, because he went through some really, really, really bad things. But yeah, it also proved things to us as well. And so, essentially, the moral of the story is, here we go. Part 2. That God is beyond human understanding. His reasoning, we are incapable of ever comprehending. Literally ever comprehending. It was the devil that ruined his life, yet God was blamed. Exactly. And so this is a reminder where, you know, we talked about how sometimes when we have problems, it's a result of our own actions. Maybe you did something bad, and again, consequences of your actions. But sometimes it's not that deep. It's literally not that deep. It's something outside of your control. You know, maybe God's having an argument with the devil. Maybe God is putting you through this struggle so that you can help someone else. Again, look at Joseph even. I keep going back to him because we talked about him last week. He went to jail for not jail. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers for 13 years. just to be accused of sexual assault by the wife of a guy he got close to and thrown in prison for 2 more years before he interpreted a dream for Pharaoh and saved all of Egypt as well as his family from famine. Like, again, being locked up and having his life be hell for 15 years straight was probably not on his bingo card. But it goes back to the point of Joseph didn't do anything to deserve becoming a slave. Like, I mean, I guess he rage baited his brothers a little bit unintentionally, but God had him rage bait his brothers so that he'd be essentially sold into slavery so he could be in Egypt when he was needed. And that's where we have to remind ourselves that God's will is sometimes so crazy and he's sometimes playing the super long game. And we need to trust that whatever reason God has for it is for the best. And every single problem has an other side. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It just sometimes takes a really long time to get there. And that's where we have to learn to have faith. For Gen Z, Bro really got his whole life nerfed just to prove he wasn't glazing God for the loot. Everything went absolutely cooked. His friend gave him NPC tier advice, and he still didn't rage quit his faith. Sometimes life hits you with the most diabolical character development arc imaginable, and you won't get an explanation, but staying loyal, humble, and not crashing out is the real W. Exactly, dude. Fish actually told me a way to say this. It was a canon event. Alright, guys? That's what it was. We can sum up everything Axe just said is God needed him to have a canon event in order to, like, start the next character arc. It was just a canon event so that he could start the next character arc. Hi, Miki. I discovered you through Instagram Reels. I'm going to bed soon. Just wanted to come by and say hi. Of course, Jaeger. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. Wait, I forgot no cap. You were close, Axe. You were close. I'm gonna ban you, Miki. Hey, it was Fish that said that. Fish told me to tell you guys it was a canon event. He came up with that. I've seen people... Oh, sorry, I punched my mic. I've seen people bawling their eyes out and telling them that there is something out there that truly does care for them. No spoilers. I'm gonna ban him too? Yeah, sure. That's just what I was doing with my Danish buddy when I was rage baiting him. I was help creating a canon event for his future. Maybe so. You never know. God works in mysterious ways. And that's where I say, too, God has a sense of humor. Someone mentioned earlier, does God have humor? Again, okay, let's go back to Joseph. Do y'all remember why he was sold into slavery? It's because he went to his brothers and said, yo, God gave me a dream that remember, he's the youngest brother of 12. And he goes up to his brothers and is like, hey guys, I just woke up and God gave me this dream that I am going to be in charge of all of you guys. I'm going to be in charge of all of you and I'm going to be the boss of you guys. And then, obviously it didn't go exactly like that, but generally that was the gist of his dream. And so of course, you know, like he did kind of rage bait his brothers that way, which is why he got sent into slavery. And honestly, if that doesn't say God has a sense of humor, I don't know what does. Like, rage baiting a little bit. Exactly. Axe, thank you so much for some words. Something, I appreciate it. Dear Lord, I had a stroke there. So yeah, like I said, I think God has a sense of humor. All he knew is he had 15 years to get Joseph into Egypt in a position where he could talk to Pharaoh. And that meant that Joseph had to rage bait his brothers a little bit with dreams. And so I just think it's really funny. But yeah, everyone needs a little bit of rage baiting. Probably wasn't funny for the guy who got sold into slavery. Oh, absolutely not. But that's where I say everything is for God's purpose. And again, someone... oh, there we go. Kyle is back. Axe, thank you so much for the gifted. And that's where it's a reminder, you know, I think God is a little silly sometimes. Because there's so many ways it could have happened. Obviously, it was necessary for him to get sold into slavery for the chain of events to occur. But there's a million ways he could have gone into slavery. I just think it's a silly way to do it. The evidence for God's sense of humor is the man has a sense of humor, and he made us in his own image. Animals don't laugh or joke, just us. That is true, absolutely. And again, someone literally brought it up, the platypus. I present to you the platypus. It's a mammal. It produces milk, but it lays eggs. Like, I don't even know. It's a mix of everything. It's a mix of everything, bro. So I think God, he's silly goofy sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely think God has a sense of humor. And the males are venomous, yeah. Does God think being gay LGBTQA is a sin? Okay, so this is what I always tell people. Is, yes, it is a sin at the end of the day. It falls into sexual immorality. But here's the good news. All of us are sinners, and just because you struggle with a sin, we all struggle with different types. And that doesn't mean you're going to be instantly condemned to hell. It just means that all of us have our own crosses to bear. Because the Bible does obviously talk about those things. And I know a lot of Christians nowadays like to be like, oh, God doesn't care. He does care. It's still a sin. So I play devil's advocate here a little bit. Is that it is also a sin to, you know, lie to your parents that you ate a cookie before dinner. If that makes sense. Because we as humans, we put weight on sin. Obviously, we as humans are going to say that murdering someone is worse than stealing a cookie. But to God, a sin is a sin. And sin takes us away from God. And we're all given our crosses to bear. And they're all very, very different. No two people have the exact same cross or exact same struggles. So we can't really compare ourselves to one another. But that's where it's important to, you know, get close to God, read his word, and be aware of things. But yeah, that's basically my 2 cents. I'm not going to go fully into it, but biblically and theology-wise, that's personally how I take it. I've seen gay people that love the Lord. Yeah, I mean, there's people in the Bible that were gay and then, like, became eunuchs and stuff in order to... Because there's the whole thing about, like, fleeing from sin or whatever. But at the end of the day, we all have our own sins and the things that we struggle with. And so, that's why me personally as a Christian... Dude, I've sinned just as much in my own ways. So, I'm not here to cast stones. It's the whole thing where there's the story in the Bible where... You know, Jesus comes and stops and they're gonna stone this girl. I can't remember if one of you guys can remind me of what exactly it was. Where the verse where he says, whoever here has not sinned may cast the first stone. And then everyone just kind of like stops. Because everyone just instantly feels that conviction of like, ah, dude, low-key, you're right. I've also done bad things. So who am I to judge someone else for the sin that they committed when I've done just as many bad things, if not worse things? So, we must pray for forgiveness. Yeah. We all fall short. Yes. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And that's why... a prostitute? I thought it was a prostitute, but I couldn't remember. Thank you for that. Adultery. Yeah. Adultery. Thank you for everyone. I'm so glad y'all know your... See, I'm the kind of person, especially with ADHD, is I know the Bible... But I sometimes fumble the details. And I'm like, I can't remember the detail, and I don't want to tell you guys something wrong. I try to make sure that I'm accurate. This isn't about suffering, but I wanted to ask God, why God is presented as male a lot of time in media / art. Well, I think a lot of it is probably because... Well, think of it this way. God created man first. And so if we were created in God's image, the first thing he did was create man. Also, if you think about, he sent his son to earth as Jesus. Now, I always tell people that I am never going to pretend to know something I don't fully know the answer to. This is a very deep theology question that I obviously don't have key points here to give you a bunch of information. So I'm just spitballing off the top of my head and my personal beliefs. So again, go do your own research. Everyone is free to do their own research. I'm always the first to admit if I don't fully know. But I personally think, you know, God made humans in his own image. He started with Adam, and who was, you know, man, and then, you know, the derivative of man was woman, which, you know, if he made Adam in his own image, that's kind of where we get the whole concept of man. And then same with, you know, Jesus sending his son. So yeah, that's how I would see. But that's actually a fantastic question that, you know, I might look into on my own just to see what other theological stuff people have to say about it. He's a father figure that can nurture humans. Yeah, exactly. And so, exactly. God was created in man's image, woman... Oh yeah, man was created in God's image, woman... Yeah. I swear you gotta start shuffling the background music. Yeah, it's because it's on a loop, Wesley. That's why. It's a handful of songs on a loop. It's not a shuffle. It's baked in through my actual PC. But I will have to switch it up eventually. Alright, thank you for the answer. No problem, Bidoof. Like I said, great question. That's my spitballing thoughts, but it's something I've never considered too hard. So, that's definitely something I'm going to be thinking about this week. What are these songs from? Oh, these are all copyright free. There is an artist called Rahura, Rahura. She is on Twitter and Ko-Fi and everything, and so I just use her music. She makes background music for VTubers that's free to use. So I just have like a couple of them downloaded that I've made into a loop. Just so I don't have to worry about remembering to turn music on or off. So, yeah, no problem, Alpine. Take care of yourself. Okay. So, back to the whole Job thing. No problem, Rabbit. Take care of yourself. I gotta, like, loop back around. We kind of went on a side tangent there. Again, that's part of the fun thing with these streams is the ADHD. Sometimes we have random side conversation. So we talked about, you know, why everything happened to Job. It wasn't necessarily directly because of his suffering. And again, we don't know the will of God. We basically went over that. So, moral of the story. We've already kind of talked about this in the side tangent we went on. We can never fully understand God's will. It's literally impossible for us. We just can't. It's like a drop in the bucket. There's always a reason for our suffering, whether God is using it as a redirection to stop us from causing harm, or whether God is planning to use us to further his kingdom, or do things for him, again, like the case of Joseph I keep going back to, or Job, to prove a point, or because he needs us to be somewhere in particular. So at the end of the day, it's just as likely that your suffering is the cause of something you did as, you know, God is using you to get you where you need to be. Because God does not like to see us suffer. He's not doing it just because he wants us to be in pain. Didn't even notice the background music until y'all pointed it out. Oh my goodness. So essentially, even when we feel alone, we need to remember that God is here with us, ready to swoop in at any moment. In the case of fixable problems, he's just waiting for us to listen to what he wants us to do. In unfixable problems, we just have to persevere and know that God is going to get us out of the situation on his time, and we just have to be patient waiting until that happens. So, what does it boil down to? Trust the process. Trust the process. Which again is way easier said than done. Avira! Welcome in! Thank you so much. Oh, I'm way down here. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Avira. I hope you're having a fantastic stream. I hope your partner push has gone well. I know I rated you. You're doing a partner push, right? How's that going? If you guys don't already know me, my name is Miki. I'm an Angel Shark VTuber. On Sundays, I do Bible studies. Today, we are talking about suffering and essentially what to do when we feel like things aren't going our way. Even if you're not religious, you're more than welcome to hang tight here because although it is technically a Bible study, we're talking more about sentiments and essentially what to do when we feel like life sucks. How can we possibly get through it? Because I know mental health is something a lot of us struggle with right now, especially in this day and age. And so we are basically just talking about what we can do. What's a fixable problem? What's an unfixable problem? How can we continue to find hope and strength to push through whatever bad things are happening to us? So that's what we're going over right now. It's going well. I did have a mental break, but I came back. Nice, Avira! Well, I hope everything's been going fantastic for you. And everybody, please go show Avira. Again, she is partner pushing right now. So please go show her some love, show up. And I wish you the best on your partner here soon. Thank you for having us. Of course, of course. If you guys have to raid and run, please take care of yourselves, though. Make sure to get up, drink some water, eat some food, stretch, run to the bathroom, whatever you may possibly need. Because I don't know how long stream was, but I get antsy after a while. If you'd like to stick tight and stay cozy, though, feel free to do so. I would love to have you all here. It hasn't been so well, and I'm happy to return. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Well, I really wish you the best. And thank you so much for trusting me with your community. I'm glad to have you here. You guys, I guess, came in at a pretty perfect point. Because we're kind of wrapping up the last few things we were talking about in terms of the Bible. And we're about to start talking about what to do when we feel hopeless or depressed. And ways that we can essentially comfort ourselves and make ourselves feel better. How's the stream going? You popped in my recommendations, but when I saw you were speaking English, I decided to use a translator. Not very good at speaking or understanding English, native is Spanish, but anyway, here I am. Everything's going well down. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a fantastic night. We're just going over our Bible study for the day. And hi, Fat, welcome in. Not from the raid, but I do have to run. No problem, Wesley. Take care of yourself. So, okay. Back here. Time to learn Bible with Anime Girl. Absolutely. And bye, Mocking. Take care of yourself. So basically, let me go back for all of our new raiders here, just so we can kind of wrap up what we just finished talking about. So essentially, at the end of the day, things happen. We're going to struggle sometimes. Bad things are going to happen in our life. Sometimes it can be our own fault. Maybe we did something we shouldn't have, and we're facing the natural consequences of our actions. Sometimes we have no control over the problems and bad things that happen to us. And that can make us feel a little hopeless sometimes and be like, man, you know, what did I do to deserve this? How can I keep going? But everything has a purpose. There's a reason to everything, a method to the madness. Sometimes bad things have to happen in order for good things to happen. If you're familiar with the Bible, we were talking about the story of Joseph. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers, and he was in slavery for 13 years, got close to the Pharaoh's head guard, whose wife accused him of sexual assault. So he got thrown into prison for 2 years after that. So 15 years total. Literally hadn't done anything at all. But turns out those 15 years were all so he could be in the right place at the right time. Because the Pharaoh was having these crazy dreams, and Joseph was able to interpret it. He ended up getting promoted to the Pharaoh's right-hand man, and ended up saving his family as well as all of Egypt from a horrible famine that would have likely killed everybody. So, that's a perfect example of, you know, Joseph didn't do anything to deserve the bad things that happened to him, but if it wasn't for the bad things that happened, he would have never been in the right place at the right time. And even if you're not Christian, we can still kind of understand that sentiment. A metaphor I used earlier in the stream is, imagine you're like running late to work. And when you're running late to work, you see a kitten, like, abandoned on the side of the road, and you rescue the kitten. Well, if you hadn't been late to work, you wouldn't have seen the kitten, and you would have never been able to save it. So, it goes back to a whole contingency versus necessity, where even though it sucks when bad things happen to us, there's often some level of a silver lining. Or maybe it can be, if I use the same metaphor, we were late to work, but maybe if we'd gone to work on time, we would have gotten in a really bad car accident. And so by being late, we were kind of protected from a really bad car accident. So that's one really good way that we can help cope with essentially the bad things that happen in life, is by trying to remember that it's not necessarily for nothing. And good things can come out of it. One more thing, if it bothers or inconveniences you that I speak Spanish, let me know. It's okay, Down. I mean, I don't speak Spanish. I only speak English, but I understand. A question for those who wants to answer. If someone is doing something bad that I do not do, do I have a right to tell them that it is wrong and that there is a better way? Absolutely, I believe so. But here's the thing. It goes back to the whole, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. To where, it's okay to talk to them, but it's not okay to scold them. Because at the end of the day, if you want to go by biblical terms, it says to remove the plank from your own eye before pointing out the splinter in another. Yeah, like Crow said, don't be a hypocrite on these things. So it's okay to hold people accountable, but you have to be honest and not hypocritical about it. And don't do it from a place of hate or malice. Because again, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Let's start the Great Schism. Which church teachings are you actually following, Miki? What do you mean? Well, thank you so much for the sub on YouTube. Okay, so moral of the story. There we go. I've been looking for a Christian Center VTuber to watch. Now it's you. I'm glad, Fat. Well, I'm super glad to have you here. So this is where we go into essentially our last segment here. And Pancake, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Here's our big question. So now that we've established all of this stuff about, you know, last week, what suffering is, why it exists, this week, you know, how problems occur and good can come out of it. Well, now, what do we do when we find ourselves suffering? How do we persevere when things are going poorly? Because it's easy to know all these things logically, but when bad things happen, let's be real. We're human. We're gonna get really sad. We're gonna get depressed. We're gonna get angry. We're gonna feel hopeless. So what are we supposed to do in those moments in order to cope? So our next segment is gonna be copium, basically. How do we cope? And again, even if you're not religious, this is still something that you can apply to your everyday life. And if you don't believe in God, you know, I respect you still. You can ignore the God part if you don't want any part of that. But there's still good things to have here. How likely do you think it is I'd be able to tell my boss, sorry, God didn't want me to go to work today? Obviously, we can't use God as a like excuse, but we just have to learn to roll with the punches, I would say. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is building resilience. And you know, resilience is essentially strengthening ourselves. Not only so that we can be strong when bad things are happening. Hi, I don't know how to say your name. Jiet? I probably am butchering that. I'm gonna call you Jay. Right now, maybe? I don't know. I normally do pretty good with usernames, but I struggle sometimes. So, resilience is not only being able to withstand the punches when they come, but also learning to brace ourselves before they happen. So here's some ways that we can do that. First of all, practice introspection. Now, this takes a lot of practice and a lot of honesty. Joanna's my real name? Okay. But this introspection takes a lot of practice because it means admitting when you're wrong or when you've done something bad and taking accountability. And let's be real. We don't like to take accountability. It's kind of the joke I just made with Plum. We're like, oh, do you think I could tell my boss, sorry, God didn't want me to go to work today? Where it's like, you know, obviously it's funny, but, you know, we do that on a smaller scale every day. Where we try to have scapegoats or blame other people or other things. Because I've seen other Christians say that I couldn't judge as a response to that while bringing up Matthew, so I was making sure. I see. Like I said, it's not... Okay, you can't judge someone and condemn them because you're not God. So you can't say, like, whether they're going to hell or this and that. But we are called to hold each other accountable and be honest about our shortcomings. So yeah. Sorry, I keep going on my little side tangents here. So it's really easy to blame other people whenever things go wrong. Like, let's say we didn't get a promotion. Oh, it's because Joe over here, like... He's hooking up with, like, this person in management, and that's why he got the promotion. Okay, is that really why Joe got the promotion? Or are you just coping right now? And that's where, again, introspection. Introspection is all about looking inside of our own hearts and being incredibly honest. Radical honesty is what we're talking about. And that takes a jail for Joe. And that's what takes a lot of struggle. Accountability is kryptonite to a lot of people these days. It drives me nuts. Absolutely. No, like, let's be real. No one likes to admit they're wrong. No one likes to take accountability. But it is very important to do so. In order... just for your own sanity, man. Because pretending it's always someone else's problem is just going to lead you down worse and worse rabbit holes. So, what are some ways that we can practice introspection? This can be identifying triggers or possible solutions. Like, let's stick with the whole Joe thing. Hold on. Legitimate question. What if... huh? Are you just saying that I should believe that is lot? I think there's a typo there. I don't think I understand what you're meaning, Elite. Sorry. Can you try to elaborate or rephrase that for me? I don't think I understood. You know, Joe is bribing the CEO so he can get the promotion. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so we'll stick with Joe. Okay, yeah, you might say, like, he was bribing someone, or maybe he's, like, dating someone in HR, and that's why he got the promotion. No, I don't think you're weird. I think that makes you a good person, Maki. Because a lot of people can't do that. They can't admit when they're wrong. Hiraki, thank you so much. I appreciate the super. I think it's amazing how so many VTubers coming forward about their faith. For instance, Anya, aka Niana, talked about how she started going to church with her dad. Yeah. I know all about that. I will not elaborate, but I know all about Anya / Niana. And I think she's really great. Smiles. Smiles and knowing. So essentially, we'll stick with the Joe thing. So, identify possible solutions. Okay, let's be real. Have we been a little lazy at work recently? Maybe that could be this situation. Maybe we're feeling envious or jealous. She's a knower, I am a knower. I know all about Niana. I know all about Niana. My question is, when I feel someone gets a promotion due to a reason, should I just assume Joe didn't get that promotion for a certain reason? Did I believe they... No, they got it for a reason. That's what we're talking about, Elite. Is that we have to be honest with ourselves. Is that, it's not always a situation out of our control. And that's why I say maybe we've been a little lazy at work recently. And so that's why Joe got promoted instead of us. Maybe they have been pulling extra hours and we just didn't notice all the extra work that they have been doing. And that's why they got the promotion instead of us. And that's where I say practicing introspection. Rather than hating Joe because he got the promotion instead of us, we need to take a step back and be honest about why did Joe get the promotion and not me? Did I do something wrong? And it might not be that you did something wrong, but maybe Joe just did something a little bit better than you. Just because he got the promotion doesn't mean that he was bribing the CEO or, you know, dating someone in HR like we joked about. And that's called practicing introspection, is being honest with yourself. They're like, yeah, I've been slacking off a bit. You know what? And so we should be happy for Joe. We should be happy for Joe instead of hating him. Like, yeah, it sucks we didn't get the promotion we wanted, but that doesn't mean we should hate him. And it is extremely tough. That's why I say radical honesty and introspection is hard. It feels better to think that they just got it for no reason and it's unfair. But that's how we keep ourselves trapped in a loop of negativity. Could be nepotism. Oh, I know, Maki. That's why I said it could be, but it's not always. And that's why I say practicing sorry, I was reading your message. Nepotism. Practicing introspection. That's where I say, rather than immediately assuming it's something like that, sometimes we should take a step back. Because it's not always going to be Joe. Sometimes there's going to be other obstacles in our life where maybe we're the problem. Like, let's say maybe we had a big fight with our best friend, and our best friend is not really talking to us right now. Sometimes it's not our best friend's fault. Sometimes we're just as much as fault as our best friend for why we're not currently talking to each other. And that's where introspection comes from. It's not just... here, let me hydrate. So it's... yeah, discernment. Discernment as well. Introspection, if you want to use biblical terms, discernment is absolutely... Introspection is more the psychology, like secular term for it, but discernment, yes. It's the knowing in your hearts. And so... that's where before we start to make an immediate judgment on whether someone deserved it or like, oh, woe is me. Like, we gotta step back and be honest about ourselves about, is this our fault? If that makes sense? Like, could we have done something better or different? Yeah, discernment is very important. There's also the fact that regardless of whether he got it by fair means, it's not gonna be productive to hyperfixate on it. Exactly. So that is another huge point, is that being upset, exactly. Wait, am I the problem? Yeah, that's literally introspection / discernment, is sometimes we're the problem, even if we don't want to admit it necessarily. And we have to be honest about when we're the problem. That's the easiest way to feel happier and be able to let go, is recognizing when we are the problem. Because then we can fix the problem. Because remember how I talked about fixable and unfixable problems? If we're able to see that we're the problem, now we can fix it. Because now we know what the problem is. It's ourselves. It's our hearts. It's something we did. And now we can work towards something better. It can be worth $1 million again. Never mind the metaphysics for the secular types. Discernment is the difference between life and death. Yeah. So whenever things are going bad, it's best to talk to God. You know, talk to God about what's bothering you. Ask for guidance. That's a great way that you can build resilience, is, you know, just talk to God. Don't turn away from him when things are bad. When things are going bad, we should be running towards him instead of away from him. And that is going to help us a lot more in the long run. And, you know, talking to God can be like prayer, but it also can be things like reading the Bible, getting to know God's word. Because I know for me personally, the more I read the Bible, the more when I'm upset, God is able to, like, okay, God, like, telepathically beams Bible verses into my head. And, like, whenever I'm crying, like, I can be really upset or really angry. And then, like, I get, like, a telepathic Bible verse in my head. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's God telling me that right now. And so that's God's way of being able to talk to us. And so in order to hear God's voice and talk to him, we have to be familiar with his word. And what is his word? The Bible. That's the easiest way to hear God's voice, is getting to know the Bible. Because if you genuinely read the Bible and you think about it and you pray about it, God is going to be able to remind you of those things in the hard moments. And that is going to be how he's going to be able to talk to you. And you're going to be able to get those answers you've been searching for. And then another thing, especially when we're dealing with a problem that feels unfixable, unsurmountable, is we have to remember all of the blessings that God has given us. And then we're going to go, yes, Miki Bible beam. And so, verse here is Psalm 23:4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. TLDR, lean on God. God's got you covered. So we're going to go a little bit into specifics, and I already talked a little bit with the introspection or discernment. So how do you practice discernment or introspection? You gotta be honest with yourself, as we said. You need to learn to take accountability for things that are within your control. Because let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, our problems are somewhat within our control. Brian, thank you so much for the biddies. I appreciate it. Thank you. But at the same time, we also have to... Jake, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Also, I appreciate it. Oh, wait, did someone gift them? I'm so sorry. YouTube is so bad about, like, the way it notifies things. Ryan, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. You are the bomb. But at the same time, just as much as we should take accountability for things in our control, we also need to learn to let go of things outside of our control. Because remember Job? There's literally nothing Job could have done to avoid what happened. Because it was out of his control. And that's where you just have to learn to let go. Don't blame yourself. You're going to drive yourself crazy trying to find a reasoning behind it. We just have to learn to accept it. And I know that's really difficult. Because even myself, I'm going to be honest, chat. I'm going to be real vulnerable here. I'm a control freak. I am a huge control freak. Not only do I have the tism, but I also have accompanying things like OCD. And specifically, I have like optimization OCD as one of my big versions of it. So I am a control freak. If anything is slightly different, if my routine is slightly messed up, if things slightly go differently than what I had planned, it's like everything breaks. Everything breaks. Dude, I like plan my days down to the minute. And if anything changes, I will have a meltdown. I will have a full autistic meltdown. But that's where I have to remind myself is that sometimes things are gonna happen that are outside of my control. And there's nothing I can do to prevent those bad things from happening. So I just need to learn to let it go. Because it is not up to me at all. I literally cannot fix it. Apologies, I must get to sleep. It's all good, Brian. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much for being here. I wish I could maintain a routine. I always improvise. That's fair. Everybody is different. I'm a perfectionist rather than control freak. I was cursed with both, Crow. I was cursed with both. It's horrible. I learned to let go of control young. If you attach yourself to less, it makes you mad. See, for me personally, I talked a little bit... a lot of my Bible streams, I talk more about myself. So y'all know I'm, talking from my heart. I grew up in a household... where I had a lot of expected from me at a very young age. I was expected to have straight A's, also to be a star athlete, also to, play an instrument, also to do extracurriculars, also to go to church, also to do volunteer work. And I was spread very thin as a child, and my parents ran a very, very, very tight ship. And that's kind of where I developed my OCD and need for control from, is because every aspect of my life was incredibly micromanaged as a child. And I don't blame my parents. It's because my parents, they didn't have a very good life when they were younger, and they just wanted to make sure I have a better life than they did. And they thought the best way to do that was to cram pack my life with as many positive things as possible. But it led to a lot of pressure and micromanaging, which meant I crumble whenever I don't have everything micromanaged. I cannot handle, like, go with the flow type of stuff. It makes me incredibly stressed out. Like, what do you mean we're just gonna wing it? I am incapable of winging it. It makes me feel so stressed to the point I want to vomit. Like, if I'm being completely real with you. And that's something where, again, I really struggle to let go of things outside of my control. I love to blame myself. I love to blame myself or, like, think there's something I could have done. I like to think if I plan everything hard enough, then nothing could possibly go wrong. But that's just false. Something's always gonna happen. Which, again, is why we have to learn to let go sometimes. So yeah, not familiar. Minus church. They didn't care what I believed in. We're kind of secular. Fair. I suffer from anger. Gotten significantly better, but was on a hairline trigger BC? Yeah. I love going with the flow, but low-key understand? Yeah, it really depends. Everyone has their own things. For some people, having a routine stresses them out. For some people, it's the opposite. So, yeah. Basically. Anyways, back to this. I'm similar. Can't go to the store without it being planned on when, where, why, how. Yep, that's me too. But sometimes we have to recognize things are outside of our control and we just have to let them happen, even when they suck. And another thing is we have to remember that God loves us. And again, what I've been saying time and time again, God is not doing things because he wants to hurt you. God hates to see us in pain. He hates to see us suffer. And we need to recognize our blessings. We'll go back to the the blessings thing towards the end. So our verse here is Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So, you know, I probably should have put that on the blessing slide, but it's okay. I added the blessing slide at the end. Having a routine stresses me out. I don't mind planning some things to happen for some days, but completely controlling it makes me feel like a statue. Yeah, for sure. I totally understand. I'm no longer a young guy and hate going in different flows more so. Yeah. Okay. So our next slide is going to be kind of like how do we talk to God, basically? Because someone brought up at the beginning of stream, like, how do we pray? Like, what is talking to God? Is there a right way to pray to God? Is there a wrong way to pray to God? And actually, before I go to my bullet points, I'm going to read the verse here because this is personally my favorite verse and something that has been really helping me a lot recently when I'm in hard times. It is Romans 8:26 and 27. Favorite verse, current favorite verse for me. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. Because, I don't know about you guys, but there have been times where I just feel like my life is falling apart. Again, literally like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, where I'm literally just like sobbing. I can't breathe. I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord, what are you doing? I don't think I'm strong enough. I'm not strong enough. God, I know you think I am, but I'm really not. I can't handle this anymore. I feel broken. I feel wrong. I feel like the world is ending, and I don't know what to do. And this verse really comforts me because sometimes, well, yes, that is also a thing, James. But I'm talking about umbrella things here. But, oh my goodness, sorry, my brain is really scattered. If you guys didn't know, I don't have notes. I just wing these entire streams. I have these bullet points and nothing beyond the bullet points. I pray to God that he's gonna guide me through it, so I'm sorry if I jump around sometimes, but I just... I say, Lord, speak through me, please. Help me find my way, because homegirl has ADHD. Oh yeah, because sometimes, I don't know if y'all have ever been in this place, I'm like sobbing so hard, I can't even pray. Like, or it's not that I can't pray, but have you ever been in a situation where you're like sobbing so hard you can't even think clearly? Like you get one or two words out and then like your brain just like is fried and then you get like another word or two and then you're confused and you're like, what am I talking about again? And then you start sobbing even harder and then you start sobbing because you're like, I'm not even making sense trying to pray to God. Like he doesn't understand a word I'm saying. I can't even finish a full sentence. Like I'm just sobbing. Like I want to talk to God and tell him what's going on. I want to ask for help, but I literally can't because I can't form sentences. And this verse gives me a lot of comfort because it reminds me that God knows what we're praying for, even if we just sound like a blubbering, nonsensical mess. He knows exactly what we're trying to say. I like to think of it of like a spiritual auto-translate type of situation. So even when we're really struggling, and we feel like we're not making sense to God, know that he still hears us. He still understands us. He knows exactly what's bothering us. He knows exactly what we're asking for, even if we're struggling to find the proper words. Hi, Zio. Can I find a way to stop drinking? That's where it becomes a practice of, you know, self-discipline. Removing triggers. We talked about that earlier in stream. You just have to be honest about where your problems lie and what triggers you and causes you to stumble. And you have to, you know, in the words of the Bible, flee from it. Because the Bible, I can't remember the verse word for word, but if your left hand causes you to sin, it is better to chop it off than like continue moving forward. Because sometimes fixing our problems requires a great deal of sacrifice and radical honesty, both with ourselves and God, about what exactly needs to change. Incoherent blubbering. God, I totally get you. Exactly, exactly. He knows our heart. So I wanted to lead with that. So how to talk to God. So here's the cool thing. You can talk to God anytime, any place. It doesn't matter what's going on. You can talk to God at the grocery store. Let's say you're like standing in the line at the grocery store and you just suddenly get this wave of anxiety or fear. Patrick, thanks so much for subbing on YouTube. You can pray to him in that moment while you're waiting, while you're putting your items on the little like cashier conveyor belt. You can literally do it anytime when the moment hits you, whether it's for a good thing, whether it's a bad thing. Talk to God like you would talk to a friend. Pretend you're on a phone call. You don't even have to say it out loud. Like, obviously, you know, there's the whole thing where it's like, oh, we put our hands together, we close our eyes, we bow our head. Obviously, yes. It's very nice to show respect to God and do things like that. But you can pray to him even without doing that because... let's be honest. Let's say you're in the middle of a grocery store again doing your groceries. You can't just like do that right then and there. Sometimes it's not always viable. And that's where it's important to remember that you can pray whenever, wherever, however, as long as it's being obviously respectful towards God and being mindful of, you know, him. We don't want to take him for granted or like discount his power. You guys get what I'm saying. Cream, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you for putting this together. I've been going through a tough time. I'm dreading going back to work tomorrow, and your wholesomeness is lifting me up. I'm glad. That was my goal with doing these Sunday streams, is to give everybody a pep talk before the work week starts. So I'm really glad I've been able to help. You don't even have to close your eyes. You can talk to him while driving. Exactly. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes to pray to God. You can pray with your eyes open. I promise God understands. Exactly. Hi, Ripper. Welcome in. Looking back on my life, thus far, best way I can explain it. But God, glad I found you. A streamer doing Bible study wasn't on my bingo card, but it brightens my day. Well, I'm glad to have you here, Jonathan. I'm really glad. Most times I do it out loud because otherwise I can lose my train of thought. That's fair. If you do, basically, the whole point of this slide is pray how it works for you. I like to pray in my head because I like to be in a constant conversation with God, where it's so I personally don't follow one specific denomination, Cream. I am on the Protestant side of things, but due to my own experiences, I read God's word, I pray to him, I practice discernment, and I agree with different parts of different denominations and sects, but I don't necessarily align myself with any one particular one yet. So yeah, that's me personally. I was gonna say personally on accident. No problem, Dragon. Take care of yourself. So, yeah, basically what I'm getting at with this whole talking to God thing is do it how it works for you. For me personally, I like to pray in my head rather than out loud. Obviously, in a more formal and like important setting, I like to pray out loud. But I just like to pray to God throughout my day. Miki, did someone call you an older sister? I've been called that before. People have told me I feel like an older sister for sure. Basically non-denom, yeah. A lot of times I feel like non-denominational people classify it as a denomination of itself. And especially, but it's just unclassified, I guess. But you can talk to God how... I'm sorry, ADHD. I'm gonna ignore chat for like 2 seconds so I can get back my train of thought. So, words. I like to pray in my head. For me personally, I like to be in constant talk with God. CK, thank you for the follow. Like, I'm just working on random stuff, and I might have a question in my head where I'm like, hey, hey God, I have a question about blah, blah, blah. And then while I'm talking to God in my head, I might be thinking about scripture. So that kind of leads to my point of treat it like a conversation. It doesn't, you shouldn't be calling up, okay, think of it this way. Think of your best friend. Do you call your best friend only to, like, complain to them? No, sometimes you're just updating them or you're asking them questions. Like, don't just call up God whenever something's going wrong. Just have regular conversations with him sometimes. Ask him for clarification. Ask him for discernment. If you wonder random things, like, God is always there. He loves to hear us talk and have, you know, conversations with him. And that goes into the other part of prayer is that it is a conversation. So don't just talk. Remember to listen also. Because listening is just as important as talking to God. And we'll get more into that in the next slide. But here's the thing. When we talk to God, he's not always going to give us the answer that we want. And that goes back to the whole sometimes fixing problems requires sacrifice. And sometimes God's will is not what our will is. But we must remind ourselves that God's will is perfect. And whatever God says is the right thing, regardless of how we feel about it. And also, God works on his time, not ours. So just because we're praying for a solution right now, doesn't mean that God is going to give us the answer right now. And we have to just be ready to accept when that happens. Again, I keep using the example of Joseph, but that's because it's a great example for, you know, last week and this week. Joseph was very likely for the entire 15 years praying like, God, when are you going to get me out of this? And he just had to suck it up essentially and just accept it. It's like, this is what's going to happen. Because it doesn't matter how much Joseph prayed for God to help him. God wasn't going to help him until he was ready. Hi, Jay. Holy Spirit is what guides you through the Bible. Yeah, for sure. He always gives us the answer he knows we need to hear, though. So that's why we have to remind ourselves, just because you're not getting an answer right now doesn't mean you're never going to get an answer. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. And hi, Naomi. Welcome in. Alright. So this is where we get back to kind of how to listen. Which goes into how to read the Bible. You know, I talked to you guys about when I'm personally struggling or when I'm praying, sometimes I feel like God telepathically beams Bible verses into my head. Like when I'm praying, I'm like, hey God, I have a question about blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, I remember a Bible verse that is like really relatable to whatever I'm worrying about. And that is how God speaks to us. Because remember, what is the Bible? It's God's word. And so that is the easiest and most reliable way for us to be able to hear God's voice is by getting to know his word. Because when you read the Bible and you learn his word, you are able to recognize when he is speaking much more easily. Patience is a virtue? And a nice stream. I'll watch the rest tomorrow. Of course, Hidden. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much for being here. I recommend watching some biblical lectures from Jordan Peterson. Really good stuff for everyone, religious or not. Yeah. Now, when it comes to reading the Bible, a good thing that we can do is we can build a daily system or routine. Which, let's be real, easier said than done. I mentioned to you guys before, I have ADHD. It's obvious. But it's still important because if we are not familiar with God's word, not only is it going to be harder for us to be able to hear his voice, but also it's going to be a lot easier for the devil to sneak in and confuse us or sow seeds of doubt and chaos. Because if we're not familiar with God's voice, it's much easier to fall for the devil's voice instead. Like, I don't know about you guys. Today's Monday. I took a day off lowering cortisol levels. Nice. But one thing that I've noticed personally, on the days that I don't read my Bible or I forget to pray, my days tend to be kind of worse. And I don't know, a lot of people I know have similar situations. Maybe not every time. But if I forget to read my Bible in the morning or pray in the morning, I notice that I feel a lot more depressed throughout the day. I start to have a lot more feelings of doubt or hopelessness. And typically, that leads me to be like, ooh, I didn't read my Bible. I didn't pray. And immediately I feel better. And so, that's why it's very important to try to have a routine. Obviously, sometimes we're gonna stumble. We are not going to ever be perfect, but getting to know God really helps, because if you start your day... Hermit, thank you for the sub. Yeah, your daily bread. If you start your day with the Word of God, that is going to carry you through the rest of the day, because you're going to have a firm foundation for everything else that comes afterwards. Whereas if you wake up and the first thing you do is, like, go on social media and you start getting bombarded with triggers, whether it's something that triggers lust or anger, whatever, envy, whatever it is. Now the first thing in your head when you wake up is sin rather than God's word. So it's important to lay down a good foundation. I'm not a Christian. Can I read the Bible? Everyone can read the Bible, Pradeep. Absolutely. God's word is for everyone. Even if you're not a Christian, or you're just starting out, or you're just exploring, you're more than welcome to read the Bible, because his word is for everyone and he wants to be able to talk to everybody. Where was I at? Oh yeah, so let's talk about, you know, how we can build a routine. So basically, with that, let's be honest, like, I have ADHD. It's a lot easier said than done. There's a lot of resources out there, though, that make it a lot easier for us to be able to get connected with God's word thanks to the internet. Like, a lot of bad things come out of the internet with, you know, social media, etc. However, obviously, got a lot of good things, too. For example, physical Bibles can be expensive. Also, if you want a physical Bible, go to, like, a thrift store. They normally have, like, pretty cheap ones. But I know a good one can be expensive sometimes. And so, some good online resources are... Bible Gateway is what I personally use. It is a website that has a verse of the day. So if you type in BibleGateway.com, it will give you a verse of the day. It's like one verse. So I like to start my morning with that. Because, again, I have ADHD. It's sometimes hard to sit down and make full time for God. And that's why these Sunday streams are helping me as well. Because it helps me spend more time with God throughout the week. But Bible Gateway, you can go on there, you can see your verse of the day, read it, and now here's the great part. There's a little button that says, continue reading the rest of the chapter. Pradeep, thank you for the follow. And so what I like to do is, if I wake up and I'm in a rush, I like pull that up, I read the Bible verse, and if I have extra time, I read the rest of the chapter. And then I, you know, pray about it. Good night, Jarian. Take care of yourself. Thank you for the biddy. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your night. But okay, if I have the extra time, I read the rest of the chapter. I pray about it. I think about it. But here's the thing. If I don't have time, hey, I at least got one Bible verse in that I can quickly pray about and think about throughout my day. Because it's better to read one verse than nothing at all. And so, for me personally, that's been a really good way to help me stay consistent without having to do an entire devotional. Because let's be real, we're all busy sometimes, and although we should always make time for God, it's sometimes easier said than done. Because again, sometimes we're in a rush, sometimes we're running late. But if we're being honest with ourselves, we can make time for one singular verse a day at minimum. And then when we have the extra time, do extra. And then that's a website, so you should be able to, you know, access that. But there's also, like, the Bible app. You can get, like, a Bible app on your phone. There's tons of resources. There's tons of translations, versions, whatever. There's even devotionals that you can do. And I recommend reading small sections at a time. Rather than just trying to raw dog, like, 5 chapters of the Bible simultaneously, do it in small sections so you can really think about what you're reading and pray about it. Because that's how God is going to be able to talk to you the best. And no problem, cool, take care of yourself. But when you read smaller sections, you can really stew on it longer and let it sink in. Because if you read too much at once, it becomes difficult. Other thing I struggle with is where in the Bible do I start reading? That's why Bible Gateway is great. Literally, it's a random verse of the day. So it can take the stress off of you. Because rather than that paralysis of where do I start, you just type it in and it'll give you a random Bible verse of the day and you just read that chapter. And if you do that every single day, before you know it, you'll have read way more of the Bible than you probably realize. Moisty, thank you so much for the follow. So, as I said, you know, pray and really think about what you're reading. Don't just read it, think about it. Pray about it, meditate on it. Because that's God's word. But if you don't know where to start reading, that's where the next point comes in too. Rather than just doing random verses, sometimes you should be looking up devotionals. If there's something in particular that's bothering you or you're wondering about, there are so many wonderful online resources for devotionals. Like again, for me 2 weeks ago when I was having my crash out because of my health and I felt really hopeless, I like just typed into Google, I was like, Bible study devotionals about what to do whenever, you know, you're suffering from disability, or like you're struggling to cope with disability and like health problems. And there were so many great things to read there that not only had scripture, but it's essentially like what I'm doing today, where it was like a little guided conversation. And that's a great way to also help you read the Bible. And it's a little more targeted to what you're personally needing at that moment in your life. So again, lots of great online resources. Highly recommend you checking them out. And also I haven't used one in forever, but I know whenever I was younger, there are a lot of devotional books you can get as well that have like daily devotionals, where it might be for the entire year, it might be like a month-long one, but there's one for each day for like the entire however long it is, and it'll give you the Bible verse as well as like questions. It's against it is essentially like a guided lesson. And personally, whenever I was younger, those devotional books helped me a lot because it gives you essentially a study plan rather than just being left to be overwhelmed, because obviously God has a lot of reading material out there, and when you're just starting out, it can be quite overwhelming. And devotionals can give you a really good chance to jump in somewhere meaningful and have someone walk you through it. Another thing I like is the Bible comic style book. Yeah, I've seen that before too. I never had one, but I am very familiar with it. And then lastly, you know, think about scripture throughout the day, because again, practice makes perfect. And the more familiar you get with God's word, the more you read it, the more he's going to be able to talk you through it, so that next time someone cuts you off on the highway and you get really pissed off, you're going to have a Bible verse, you know, pop in your head about how like, oh, don't be angry, you know, and that's how God can speak to us. Moral of the story. And that Bible verse down here, Colossians 3:2, set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. So again, we might have stuff going on in our real lives, real world problems, blah, 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 but God is above all of that. So rather than worrying about all of our physical problems, focus on God, because we know that God is going to pull us through no matter what's going on. And then that leads us to... I think I'm almost done. I have 2 more slides after this. We're doing it, guys! We made good progress today. I think I've been making pretty good lengths of these things. I'm getting better. So count your blessings. This is the last thing we can do. And this is something that more so you do before a problem happens. Because this is what's going to help you whenever a crisis attacks. And that is keeping a list of things you're grateful for. Because let's be real, God does good things for us all the time. But whenever something really bad happens, it's easy to forget all the good stuff and only focus on the bad. And so by having a list of things that you're grateful for, it's going to be way easier for you to be able to pull yourself out of those like mental funks. Hold on, I'm going to cough. I got to mute. Okay, here we go. So there's always a silver lining as well. We've talked about that plenty of times as well. Throughout this stream, where sometimes when bad things happen, maybe something good came out of it. It still sucks that the bad thing happened, but hey, a good thing came out of it too. The other trick is people are more stupid than you think. What you think is common sense isn't most of the time. What are you referring to, Chava? Specifically. What was the last slide? I'm trying to remember. I'm not sure what you're specifically referencing there. And also just remember that God is with you. No matter what is going on, God is holding your hand, whether you feel like he is or not. So we should be relying on him. You know, I have my verse down here, Psalms 103:2. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Oh, for road rage? Yeah. Exactly. It just happens, and we just have to learn to let it go. That's basically what it boils down to. And on top of counting our blessings that God's already given us, it's important to find things to be hopeful and motivated for in the future. We're supposed to always have something we're looking forward to. Now, obviously, Rex, thank you for the sub on YouTube. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, one big thing that we can look forward to is, you know, eternal life in heaven with God. We get to meet the J-Man, you guys. That's like the biggest reward as Christians, is getting to meet J-Man in the flesh. But obviously, that's still far away for a lot of us. It's gonna be a while till we meet the J-Man, so sometimes it's important that we have things here on Earth to keep us motivated as well. Maybe that can be a vacation you're gonna be going on soon, or getting to go hang out with a friend or family member. It can be something as simple as, if I make it through this really hard week at work, I'm gonna treat myself to my favorite food this weekend. It doesn't matter how big or small the reward is, it's just important that we have something to look forward to. I like doing novenas. I used to ask ChatGPT to retrieve a week's worth of Bible verses, specifically about something I want to pray about. Interesting. I mean, that's totally a way to do it as well. So that kind of covers, you know, the whole counting blessing. Or a cool new job? Yes, that too, absolutely. Wasn't sure J-Man was the... No. Yeah, I was referring to Jesus and God and everything. In a silly way. And then very last but not least, and this is something that, by you guys being here today, this is something you're already doing, so good job! And that is create community. Get connected with other people, especially other Christians. Build authentic relationships. I'm like, you don't want the surface level, like be able to actually talk to one another about what you're struggling with, what you need help with. Pray for each other. Doing something right for once? Exactly. All of you here right now are doing something great with creating community. And don't be afraid to talk about the hard stuff. Because here's one thing, like a lot of us, especially when we go to church, you know, people are like, hey, how's it going? How's your week been? And what is our default answer typically? Oh, it's been good. How about you? But has it really been good? Like next time you're at church and someone asks you, how's your week been? Pause for a second. Before you just autopilot and default to saying it's been good, take a step and maybe be like, you know what? I've actually had a rough time this week. This thing here happened, and that really sucked. But you know, I'm working through it, and you'd be surprised. Because who knows, maybe that other person is going through something similar. And guess what? Now you have a connection. You can pray for them, they can pray for you. Maybe you're struggling with something. Next week you come into Sunday, and then that person's like, hey, how is insert thing here happening? Or like going? I know you said that it was really bad last week. How's it going now? And then you can update them. Bam, you just made a friend. You just made a friend. And now, not only can you talk to each other, but you can pray for each other. You can hold each other accountable. You can give each other scripture and advice. It is so important to have community. Because remember, wherever two or more are gathered, there is God. So that's why it's important. Because remember, Christ lives inside all of us. So whenever we are connecting with other people, God is able to speak through other people. And also, God can speak through us, because you might not know this, but the person next to you is struggling really hard just as much. And they need your help just as much as you might need their help. So, again, that's my challenge for you guys. If you're someone that goes to church, or just in general, if you have a friend, next time someone asks you how you're doing, obviously don't do this to like a cashier or someone random. Like, this has to be someone you somewhat kind of know or see regularly. Don't just trauma dump on a random person, please. Sergeant, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. But absolutely, if it's like a friend or family member or somebody at church, those people are meant to be there for you. That is your community. So I challenge you, next time they ask how you're doing, be honest. And ask them to be honest about how they're doing as well. And try to form a connection, because those are really important. Here's from Ecclesiastes 4:9-12, which is just what I was talking about. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. And so there you go. That's why it's important to have other people. And even that last verse really sticks in, because a cord, two can defend themselves, but 3 strands is not quickly broken. So the more community you have, the stronger you're gonna be. So it's great once you know, make that one connection, but always be ready to meet more. I'm already doing that. Yesterday I chatted with a friend of mine after Mass. That's awesome to hear. And so, let's continue like this. And so here's my homework that I have for you guys this week. And it's kind of things that we've already talked about before. Okay, so here's my homework for you guys. And these are a couple questions that I want you guys to think about just a little bit. What is God trying to steer you away? Or maybe what is he trying to steer you towards? Because remember, we talked about how sometimes God... Okay, so basically when we struggle, there's two routes that it can go. And it can be because maybe we are doing something that is not healthy for us or those around us, and God's trying to steer us away from it. But it could just as likely be something where maybe God is trying to steer us towards a new opportunity. And so we have to have that little bit of friction in order to be able to get where we need to be, like Joseph. Because remember, sometimes the whole struggle, the whole point of it can just simply be he wants us to have a closer relationship with him. No, you're all fine, Jasmine. Don't worry about it. Oh. Love! Thank you so... I just got the pop-up for the Steam gifts in the middle of here. Had a dream you played this, and I looked and saw it was on sale, so why not? Dude, someone was talking about the Batman... I've literally... Thank you so much. I have been thinking about the Batman games recently. Because I saw them get played whenever I was younger, but I never got a chance to play them. And I've literally been thinking about them recently, so it's funny that Sorry, this is like a random outside thing. My mod Plum just gifted me all the Batman Arkham games. Because she said that she had a dream I was playing them. But it's really funny because I've literally been thinking about them recently. And I was like, man, I've never been able... Like, I'd never played them before. I remember watching them. I wonder, I would probably like playing those games. And I literally thought about that, like, last week offhandedly. So it's funny you had a dream that I played them. So maybe you saw, like, a glimpse into the future where I was playing it. Because I've literally been thinking about those games recently. No, it's the actual Batman Arkham games. No, not the Lego... I'm gonna be honest, I've never been into the Lego games, really. Oh, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have a lot. Don't worry, Kyle. I'll be getting to them, too. It's Plum. It's Plum. Because I know I need to play your Toho ones, too. But it will be added onto the back burner. Okay. How do you distinguish God steering you and sin steering you? What do you mean by that? Well, here's the thing. Obviously, the whole point of conflict is that if we're going through something bad, because sin is going to steer you towards something that is harmful to yourself or others. God would never steer you to doing those things without there being a bigger picture. For example, lust, adultery. That's just causing senseless harm. And that's how you know that it is something that is sin steering you. And that's where it's important to practice introspection and discernment to kind of really assess why things are happening. Whenever struggles are happening. Are struggles happening because they're a consequence of something wrong you did? Or is this something that, you know, you just need to be in the right place at the right time and it's pushing you towards a different opportunity? So next one. Who in your life can you rely on when things get hard? And that's where we talked about building community. You know, next time you're at church or someone asks you how you're doing, be honest with them. Because you never know. And, you know, you can find community, accountability partners, etc. And again, how? That is exactly why I said you practice discernment, introspection. The more familiar you are with God's word, the more clear those distinctions will be. So it tends to be, if you're truly practicing discernment and reading God's word, it tends to be a lot easier than people give it credit for. Because a lot of people tend to not pray about it, not read the Bible. And that's what makes this cloud of confusion, because the devil uses our lack of knowledge in order to, again, be a master of confusion and obfuscation, essentially. And that's why it's important to be able to recognize God's voice. And the only way you can recognize God's voice is by getting to know him better. For our third piece of homework, how can you incorporate the Bible into your daily routine? If you know, are not reading the Bible at all, maybe you start reading the Bible, at least a little bit here and there. Try the verses, you know. Don't beat yourself up if you can't read every single day, or if it's just a bit here and there. What's important is that you just try to find something that works for you, works for your schedule, and get closer to God. Because again, just like I mentioned to Hal, the better you know God's word, the harder it's going to be for you to be deceived by the enemy and fall into traps. Because you'll be able to tell the difference between when God is speaking to you and when he isn't. Started reading my Bible before bed in the verse of the day in the morning. That's awesome! That's awesome, Sergeant. That's a great way to do it. And then last but not least, what are some things you're grateful for that you need help remembering when times are hard? Maybe that means make a little list in your phone of some things you're grateful for or good things that have happened to you recently, so that next time something bad is happening, you can ask God and be like, hey, or you talk to him, and whenever you're talking about those things, also remember to think for the good stuff in your life. And it can be really big or really small. It can be literally anything, but having that physical list there can be a really solid reminder that not all hope is lost, because it's really easy to like zero in on only the bad things. And then the verse I have here for you guys is Genesis 50:20. As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. And that kind of wraps up everything I talked about, today as a whole. Is that bad things are going to happen sometimes, but God is always going to find a way to use those bad things for good, so long as we allow him to. Would it be a good place to start in the Bible again? It is so easy. If we go back to our Bible slide real quick. I've talked about the daily verses with Bible Gateway, and you can click read the full chapter afterwards, so it'll just dump you in a random spot of the Bible. But you can also find specific devotionals, like if there's something specific you want to learn more about or something you're struggling with. Use Google, man. Google is such a good resource. There's so many free Bible resources out there. Or just look up like a 1 month daily devotional plan or something. And it'll give you guided lessons for each day. There's so many great ways. It really just depends on how much time you have. And even if you're doing like, say, a daily devotional, sometimes you're not going to have it. Like, because let's be real. Some of these devotionals take like an hour. Maybe you don't have an hour every day. But maybe do your devotional every other day, and then like just read a verse of the day in between. It's all about finding what works for you. But there's so many resources out there in order to be able to find something that works and be able to get closer to God. So yeah, that is actually our last slide for the day. Hi Dream, welcome in. Yeah, I actually am just finishing up my slides right now. But all right, here. Now that we've talked about this a little bit, how do we feel about today? For those of you that have been here, I know this is a little bit of like an abrupt break. Did we like the PowerPoint? I told you guys this is my second time doing the Bible study stuff, and I'm still trying to learn, find places to improve. Like last week, I didn't have a visual or a PowerPoint. I was just winging it off of my handwritten notes. So I'm still trying to get there and improve. PowerPoint was good. Awesome. Glad to hear it. I'll definitely try to refine on it a little bit more, but I feel like this is a great way, not only for you guys to be able to follow along if you're jumping in randomly, because you have like a visual indicator of what we're currently talking about, but I tried to do like the Bible verses as well. Just so you know, you can have scripture to talk about, because I know that was one big thing last week too, is it was hard to follow along with the scripture I was using because I didn't have anything physically on the screen, and I had to keep like reminding people. You didn't like the PowerPoint? Glad. Wasn't here for long, but I liked it. Well, I'm super glad you liked it. I tried my best. But I think honestly today was pretty good success. Pretty good success. I'm glad. Alright. Glad to hear it. Fun fact, Bible is the most stolen book in the world. Weird people are stealing Bibles, but the good Lord works in mysterious ways. Absolutely, I agree. No problem, Queen! Take care of yourself. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Here, let me move this. Oh, well, Dave, thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate it. So basically that's kind of our gist for today. And I guess I meant to do a prayer last stream, but I didn't, and I forgot. And that's my bad, you guys. But it's mostly because, like, again, I told you guys that I wing these streams. I have my, like, PowerPoint, or last week I didn't have a PowerPoint. I just had the exact same thing except written in a notebook. But low-key, I'm winging it because God has blessed me with the ability of yap. I am very good at communicating, I like to think. And that's not me trying to be egotistical. I'd like to do a stream one day where we talk about God's gifts and the different types of gifts he gives people. But I feel very blessed that I've been given the ability to yap. And so I trust that, you know, God will be able to speak through me. And, you know, I put the points there, but I don't like to... And that's where we talked about. It's ironic because I don't like going with the flow. But when it comes to talking about God, I do go with the flow. Because I feel like that is the best way. Austin, thank you so much for becoming a member. I feel like that's the best way for me to be able to convey the message. Because I feel like if I try to, like, micromanage and, like, read a script, it's not really allowing room for God to speak, if that makes sense. I feel like if I do the bullet points and just allow it to come out of my mouth naturally... Obviously, you know, I'm the one that made the PowerPoint. I read everything, so I know what I'm talking about. But if I'm reading on a script, I feel like that doesn't give God very much room to work. And so I find like it's better for me to just have the bullet points, wing it, and talk, and just allow God to, you know, say whatever he thinks. No problem, Jaeger. Take care of yourself. I appreciate you being here. I know I do have a lot of friendos over in Europe and stuff where it is very late for you guys. So please, absolutely, go get some sleep. Yeah, it's the Holy Spirit. Absolutely. I love the fact how the Holy Spirit can intercede for us and work through us. And I think that's something that anybody can experience with a little bit of practice. So, I do hope that I'll continue to improve and get better and have an easier time with these streams, but I already think this was a noticeable improvement from last week, and I'm glad everybody seems to think so. I think it's been pretty solid. And then I think I'm gonna be wrapping it up here pretty, like, shortly. We'll yap for a second longer. But I'm probably going to be wrapping it up, because I did stay up till literally 4 a.m. last night playing Alien Isolation, so it's been a long stream, or a long day. I got plenty of sleep afterwards, but I was definitely tired. So, it'd be like that sometimes. But if you guys don't already know me, again, if you just tuned in, maybe this was your first stream, because I know a lot of people have come here from Instagram. My name is Miki. I'm an Angel Shark VTuber. On Sundays, I do... Yeah, Alien Isolation. You can watch... I have all my stuff on YouTube. If you guys don't know, I stream on YouTube and Twitch. Feel free to watch wherever is most comfortable for you. But I'm finally at the half point of Alien Isolation. We'll be playing it again tomorrow, as well. So feel free to tune in for that. It's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah, there's my socials. The bot just sent it on both platforms. If you guys want to check out, I am active on YouTube. Ali, thank you so much for subbing. I am active on my YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter /X, and recently Facebook. I have a Facebook now, you guys. I've just been reposting my short form content to it, but I mean... I don't know, I've got a couple views here and there, I guess, so feel free to check out wherever. I'm glad to have you guys here. I stream every single... Facebook Live, dude, I need to get Kick up. I've had my Kick account for a while, but I haven't set up multi-streaming. But at some point, I'm going to be setting up Kick multi-streaming as well. Because right now, I just do YouTube and Twitch, but I want to do YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and then go from there. I don't think I'm ever going to go back to TikTok anymore because too many children. I learned from my mistakes back then woefully. No, Kick it. Wait, huh? What do you mean 2007? No, not Kick, K-I-K. Kick is like the streaming platform, K-I-C-K, the green one. Yeah, the green stream one, that is where I will be going to. But yeah, I already multi-stream YouTube, Twitch, and I feel like I might be able to do good over on Kick as well, especially with my kind of content. I know there's people over there that do that content also. So we'll see. You know, we're collab streams. Oh, dude, I actually didn't know about him until like a month or so ago. Fish was having to explain who Clavicular is. It's a streaming Twitch channel? Yeah. I think it could be good because, again, personally... I do very well on YouTube and Twitch. Like, what do we have right now? We have 52 over on YouTube. And we got like 67 or so over on Twitch. I hate that I just said that number unironically. No one meme about it. But I feel like maybe if I get over to Kick as well, I feel like I could find some people over there too. So We'll see. Because I have my account made. I've never set up the multi-streaming. I just forget about it. I can feel the pain in your voice. Yeah. I realized, like, after it came out of my mouth. But, you know what? It is what it is. Instagram lives are pretty active, too. Just make sure to turn the live comments off. That is a good... I'll have to consider that. Yeah. Maybe if I put like a little... Because I have my vertical streams already. Because on YouTube I do vertical and horizontal. Maybe I can just add a little like text thingy that'll be like, oh, you know, also live on, you know, TikTok or YouTube or whatever. Hi, Ann. Welcome in. Just so if people want to join in on the conversation, they can. Or if I could pin a message. Yes, the curse number is banned here. Absolutely. Avatar's eyes tweeting why you said it's because I felt the instant regret. Like, I felt instant damage whenever I said that. I was just reading the number. I wasn't even trying to say the meme. It just kind of happened, bro. And then I was instantly full of regret. You know what? It's fine. It's true, it's banned? Yes, it is. It is banned. It's not on YouTube because, you know, I don't have that stuff, but on Twitch it is. Took 2d6 psychic damage. Exactly, exactly. But, yeah, that's basically where we're at right now. I'm very grateful everyone's been able to come hang out. Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. So, yeah, I'm Miki. I'm an Angel Shark VTuber. I stream every day at 8 p.m. Central. So, Cake, thank you for the follow. You are more than welcome to tune in literally anytime. Love to have you guys here. Sundays are my dedicated, like, Bible study streams. And I do, like, I guess you could call it normal VTuber stuff the other days. Obviously, I'm still always open to talking about God. So we still have Christian conversations sometimes. I'm obviously, you know, I try to be a good, you know, beacon of Christ. So, you know, we don't do anything like NSFW. Like, I try not to curse. I might accidentally slip up sometimes. I really do my best. It's been something I've worked on a lot. And I've been doing really good recently. But, you know... we play games, we do all sorts of fun stuff here, and then Sunday we meet up for our Bible study to give us some encouragement to go through the week. And, yeah, so I forgot to post my schedule, but I do have my schedule for this week, although now that Ankle/Parker gave me the new art that he gave me, I'm probably going to change the image before I post it tomorrow. But I do have the schedule here for this week. I'm just going to change the photo. So here's the schedule for this week, everybody, if you're curious. And I'll post it on social media tomorrow. It's just a little late right now to do it. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday is going to be Alien Isolation. I'm currently about halfway through the game. Chat told me I hit the halfway mark last night at 4 a.m. So we'll see. I'll probably beat it this week, depending on how long I'm able to stream. And then on Tuesday, the 4th, it's gonna be random games. I have a game demo that a game dev reached out and sent to me that I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I will be playing, called Enter Violence. It's like an RPG Maker game. It looks cute. I like it. I'm excited to try it out. And then I also need to finish, a game from Plum, which is Milk Outside a Bag of Milk. And then we'll go from there. We'll see if I have time for anything else, because I do have games that Kyle has gifted me as well. Some of the Toho fan games. On Thursday, I'm going to be trying out a new game called The Altars, which I was given a key for, as well as a new DLC that just came out, a big 20-hour DLC. I'm excited. I think I'll like it. So I will be attempting that, and especially considering I should be probably finishing Alien Isolation this week. The Altars will probably, like, replace Alien Isolation as, like, my next big game that I'm playing. Because typically, if you're new here, I have, like, a main game that I'm playing, like, 3 times a week. And then the others are, like, smaller games or, like, filler slots. And then I just rotate out through, like, big games rather than, like, having to wait forever. I try to play the games all consecutively, if that makes sense. So it's not, like, 1 stream a week per game. Because then it would take forever for me to finish literally anything. This came back you ending stream. We're still yapping right now. Cool. So we're not ending quite yet. But we did finish the Bible study section. Hey Miki, I've been watching. Just haven't been able to chat. Thank you for the stream. Also, my pronouns are she, her. My name's a bit confusing. No, it's all good. That's no problem, Parker. I will remember that. Thank you for letting me know. Any plans for early streams? I'm not sure yet. I have a lot going on this week. As you guys... Oh, that's actually a great thing. So you guys notice the timer down here? Notice that it's at 1 day, 23 hours, 17 minutes. I've been trying to get under the 2-day mark for over a week. The first time I got under 2 days was last Saturday. You may notice that I'm only 45 minutes under 2 days currently. Despite last night streaming for like 8+ hours. The night before, I streamed like 6 hours. Today, I've streamed 3.5. I've streamed every day this week. So, if you didn't already know, I debuted on June 26th, a little over a month ago. And I'm being held hostage in my debut donathon currently. So, $1 is 1 minute on the clock. And I do have community goals. So our next one, last night we hit the 7,000 goal, which is Chibi Miki model. But the next goal will be 8,000, which will be a made outfit design. $1 is 1 point, which is also, 100 bits. A tier 1 sub on Twitch is 3 points or dollars, whatever. That's basically how it works. I have a tip page. There's whatever. Donations always appreciated, never expected, but just because people tend to wonder what the timer is on stream and the goal. I wonder how long the timer will go for. This is day 32, by the way. What's your lore? Actually, fun fact, that's another cool thing about me. Is I actually, for my debut, rather than a lore video, I made a lore visual novel. So if you want to know my lore... Nick! Dude, you're crazy. Thank you so much for the 100 super. Dude, if you guys weren't here for the alien stream last night, Nick is one of the huge reasons that we hit the 7,000 goal last night. As well as a few other individuals that were going crazy. Thank you so much, Nick. Well, we're above 2 days again. I guess I'm never gonna go below 2 days. Thank you so much. It really means the world. I appreciate it. Oh, no. Well... There we go! Yay! Stairs. Thank you so much, Nick. I really appreciate it. Well, we're making good progress toward the main design, I guess. I feel like based off last night, I probably should start looking for artists just in case. You'll never see the end? That really scares me, bro. 7 years later, 2 days left, let's go! I know. Oh, man. I really appreciate it, though. It really does help you guys. Because obviously I do this as a full-time job. And I have other forms of income other than donations. Obviously, I get sponsorships occasionally. I have merch, which, by the way, I do have merch. If you type !merch, you can see it. I should be getting my standees and stuff soon to ship out. We'll see how that goes. So feel free to check out my merch. I have t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, keychains, and standees. Lots of cool stuff there. And also, merch counts for the timer, by the way. Merch counts for the timer. And I tried to keep the prices as low as possible for everyone. So I make pretty low profit margins, but that's because I think it's cool if people even want to have my merch. So a lot of people are like, wow, Miki, your merch is way cheaper than most people I watch. It's because I love you guys and I want you to have cheap merch because I think it's cool. I think it's really cool that you guys even want that stuff. If you decide to play those games, lore-wise it goes Origins, Shadow, Asylum, City, and Night. And I don't think Night is worth playing personally, but release it's Asylum, City, Origins, Night, and then Shadow. I see. You're too sweet. No, I just appreciate you guys. And like, I get it. Like, money is tight sometimes. And like, the economy isn't great. So it's like, I don't want anybody to bust their butt. The hoodie is sick. It is. I got it from an artist named Bad Appley Atsu. She did a wonderful job on my t-shirt / hoodie design. I really, really like it. When the Angel Friends get merch, you can share it. Yeah, I do have a fan tag. Hashtag Miki Memories. You can post anything. Fan art, clips, merch, whatever. I love to see you guys' stuff. It makes me really, really happy. But yeah, so that's what we're working with. And then let me close here. Next check, I'm gonna get a hoodie and standee bet. I did order the standees. They're currently on their way. Pre-orders just ended for the standees. But, they only raised in price slightly, but I should be getting them soon. Let me actually check real quick what the status is. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Someone just bought some merch. Thank you. Thank you, whoever that was. I appreciate it. Orders. Maybe... How do I... Hold on. Orders. Here we go. Track. Quality inspection found defective products and defective items are being reproduced. Oh. Okay. Well, apparently they manufactured it as of the 31st, but something was found defective, and so they are having to remake something. I don't know what it was, but I guess I'll find out. Yeah, I guess Miki merch was defective. I don't know what it was, but it said they're reprinting it and it'll still be on the way. So, hopefully I'll have the standees and keychains physically in my possession within the next week or two. And then I'll be able to ship it out to everyone. I'm gonna be very upfront with you guys. I ordered 20 of each standee and 20 of the keychain. But I've started blowing up a little bit more, and I'm afraid I should have bought more. Because here, let me see actually where I'm at. Because when I ordered them, I'd sold like 10 of the full-size standees. But I keep selling more, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should have done more. Welcome back, Avery! I have now sold... Oh, yeah. Ooh. I mean, it's a good problem to have. I've currently sold 15 of the, like, full-size standee now. So I'll only have a leeway of 5. I've sold 15 of the full-size standee, 11 of the keychain, and 6 of the chibi standee. So I might have to be prepared to buy more of the official standees. So, I mean, that's a great problem to have, though. That is such a good problem to have. So again, thank you guys so much for the support. Maybe some lucky customers will get some derpy ones. Well, I don't know that they'll send me the defective ones. We'll see. It just said that they're reproducing it to send it to me. So I'm not entirely sure there. But, yeah, there's that. And I know the visual novel we talked about earlier. I do have a visual novel I made instead of a lore video. It's completely free on Steam, itch.io, the Google Play Store, and the Apple Store. It takes maybe 45 minutes max to fully 100%. There's 3 endings, good, bad, true, which you're more than welcome to check out as well. I'd love misprints. Well, we'll see if I get them. I don't know, because I was just checking my shipping because I ordered them a couple days ago. And all it says is that they started producing it on the 29th, and on the 31st, quality control found defective products, and they are reproducing the defective items. So I don't know what that constitutes, and if they're just gonna trash them or send them my way. I don't really know. So, because this didn't happen in my last time, I don't think. Let me go back here. So they send it to you, and then you send it to everyone else. Yes! Specifically, my streaming schedule, every day at 8 p.m. Central. Every day at 8 p.m. Central. Yeah, so, the t-shirts, hoodies, and posters, they all are print on demand, so I don't touch them. But for the standees, keychains, and stickers, I purchased them in bulk myself. That's why I had pre-ordered. So essentially, your pre-orders help fund buying everything. Like, because I just spent $300 purchasing the standees and stuff in bulk. So that when people buy them, I ship them out myself. So I'm kind of like quality control here for those. So yeah, it kind of depends on what the item is. Some of them I send myself. Some of them are sent by the merch company directly. Miki's a super smart businesswoman. I mean, I wouldn't say that smart, but I try. And thank you, Avery. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. But yeah. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have more merch in the future as well. I still need to... Oh, okay, see, here's the thing, especially with, like, the absolute bonkers, like, donathon I've had. I have so many goals to fulfill. Again, I promise I'm working to fulfill them all. One of them is, you could hypothetically ask for a signed standee. Yes. You could hypothetically. I typically leave for the stuff I send myself. I typically send a handwritten note with it because I don't want to like sign anybody's merch if they don't want it. But technically, I could. I'm still pretty dead. No problem. Take care of yourself, Plum. How much? I don't know. Just ask me to do it. I'll do it for free. I don't care. Like if you just mention. Never seen an anime girl preach the Bible to me. Well, there's a first for everything. Shut up. I don't need an amount. I'll just do it. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, if you want to tip me or something, that's fine. But if you make a note that you like want me to like sign it, I mean, I can. They're a little small, so I'll have to figure out how best to do that. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I love a sign one. Maybe I'll put out a form and let people know if they want it signed. I'll reach out. I don't know. I'll figure it out because some people already have ordered the merch. And if they want the option, is that when we buy it or like in chat when random stream? Well, I would buy it or like I would sign it and then send it to you in there. But like if people have already bought it, I'll see if I can put out a form to where if you've already bought merch and you would like me to sign it, I can sign it for you. Just again for anyone that's already bought it because none of them have been shipped out yet. We'll see. Already ordered mine? No, that's fine, Kyle. I see yours. I'll mark down, Kyle, that you want your thing signed. So I'll do that. You can probably mail something to the PO box with self-return. Wait, what do you mean, Clovar? I'll pay extra? You don't have to pay extra. You don't have to pay extra. I mean, again, my website, it allows you to tip if you want me to. Hold on one sec. Yeah. It allows you, I think, to tip. So if you want to tip me just to be nice, that's fine. But you don't have to. If you just put it in your notes, you want it signed, I'll sign it for you. Have it open Pandora's box? No, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Again, I can only do it for standees, though. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. We want an excuse to give you money. That's why I said if you want to tip me, you can. But I'm not gonna, like, force you to, like, do an extra amount. Nah, dude. I'm just... That's cool that you guys even like me enough to want something like that. I think if I... Let me see. I believe... I have people's email here. I can try to email people, maybe. And ask them what they would like. Like, if they would like it signed as an option. And then I can go from there, maybe. Probably. Okay. Is there like a backside you could sign? They're double-sided. So there's the standee part, and then it's double-sided. Maybe she's extorting us for more money? No, I don't do that. Like I said, you don't have to give me anything. I can do it totally for free if you already bought it. I can do it for free. I don't care. I'm fine with that. So, no worries. So, I guess, yeah, if you buy one, please put it in your notes. No problem, sorry. It went well. Thank you so much for asking. Too kind. No, I just appreciate you guys. I already bought it. That's fine. Like I said, I will put it in notes here. I got you. One sec. Let me go to Google Drive real quick. And then Let me whip out a Google form. Signed merch. And then if you want your merch signed, please give me your order info so I can do that. And then what is the name on your order / order number? Question mark. Sorry, I'm making a Google form. Give me a second. And then we'll add another add section. Whoop, not section. Delete section. Add question. And then I do... What would you like me to sign? And then do paragraph. Okay, and then copy responder link. Copy. Wait, hold on. Publish. Copy. Copy. Yes? No? Hold on. I'm figuring it out. Shorten URL. Copy. Alright, I'll pop it in both chats real quick. If you've already bought merch for me, I'm sending a Google form in both of these that if you fill out that form, just let me know your name that you ordered it under / your order number, or just anything basically verifying who you are, which order is yours, and then let me know what specifically you want me to sign. No, you guys don't have to tip me. It's okay. Donations appreciated, never expected. So yeah, just click that form. And if you... I can only sign standees. I mean, technically, I don't know how I'd sign a keychain. Like, I could try to figure it out, but I'm not really sure how that would go. But I do not have the access to the t-shirts, shirts, or the t-shirts, hoodies, or posters. I might print posters myself in the future. But yeah. And no, it's all good, Avery. I really appreciate it. So there you go. There you go. And that'll help me. Just so I can know whose order is whose. And then whenever I have the physical items to be able to ship to you guys, I can know who wants a signature and what specifically you are wanting me to sign. Miniature signature for the keychains? I have a signature for my initials. I can, like, initial it, maybe. My only concern is with the keychain, like, it's probably gonna rub off. Because, like, if it's on your keys, it's gonna have way more friction than, like, a standee that's just chilling on your desk. But I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. For sure. Try my best. And also try to figure out maybe what... I don't know. I'm gonna have to find out, like, what marker to use or something. I have to do some research. I will see. But I will do my best to fulfill for you all. I just, again, with the keychains, I can't promise if you want me to sign a keychain that it won't rub off. Just because, like, let's be real. If it's in your pocket or in your hands or this and that, it's going to be touched way more often than a standee would be. It's just sitting on your desk. But I will try to make it as permanent as hopefully possible. Personally, I don't use any merch keychains. They're more decorative. That's fair. Like I said, some people do, some people don't. I just want to let people know that, like, realistically, if it's actually on your keychain, it might rub off. Because, like, I have a keychain of myself on my keychains. Like, on my actual car keys. But a lot of my other merch is decorative, like in my Eda bag, for sure. Maybe we can apply our own coating? Yeah, I'll leave that up to you guys. Like, I'll find what marker, like, works best to try to make sure it doesn't rub off. But then beyond that, that'll be up to you guys, how you choose to preserve it. Or be careful with it. I'm not gonna make any guarantees that it's gonna stay. I mean, you could probably use... Yeah, there's a lot of clear coats out there. You could probably find something that would work. You just have to be careful with it. If it's something you're gonna be handling a lot. I don't know. But yeah. That's basically it. I don't know. Do I have anything else to cover particularly? I don't think so. Beautiful. Nice. Why do you only have 13.3k? Because I've only been here 6 months. Have I officially been here 6 months yet? I have not. I've been here 5.5 months. Wait, February 12th. February to March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, so I've only had my YouTube 5.5 months. That's how long I've been posting. So that is why I do not have that many. To be honest, though, 15 or 5.5 months is really quick to have 13.3k. Yeah, posters I cannot sign because they are currently print on demand. Full disclosure, I did a while back. Because obviously y'all have been very generous. I was able to buy myself a really expensive and nice printer. So I am hoping to be able to manufacture my own stickers and posters in the future. If that happens, I will let you guys know. It might not be full, like, big posters, because obviously it's still, like, the printer's a little confined in how big it can print. But I might be able to do mini prints and sign those. But until... I'm currently moving my setup. Currently, I have my desk set up, but I don't have a lot of other of my extras set up. But once I have the printer set up and I figure out how to properly print the stickers and the posters, I will have more merch available for you guys to purchase. Maybe like either postcards or mini posters. Those will be available to sign because, again, I'll physically have a hold of them. But... And then also stickers. I can have more sticker designs. But yeah. That's that. Yeah, that's basically it. Because otherwise, the merch never touches my hand. It goes from manufacturer straight to you guys. Because I don't order it in bulk. So, up to you how you would like to handle that. If you'd rather wait or whatever else. Oh, what time is it right now? Okay. Sweet, that makes things simple? Yep, absolutely. So like I said, if you want a signed poster, I mean, I can't sign the ones now. If you still want to buy the poster currently, that's fine. But if you would rather wait, that's also... Oh, I just knocked Jeff over. How much is a standee? I have a chibi one, which is 15. And then I have a full-size one that is 20, I believe. Let me double check. Make sure I'm not lying to you. This pre-orders just ended. Yeah, the chibi one is 15 plus shipping. And then the full-size one, which is 8 inches tall, is 20. That is how expensive they are. Again, plus shipping. And then keychain is also 15. It's the same art that I made myself as the chibi. So yeah. Miki's first stream was February 13th. And there have been about 153 streams. Yes. Because I stream every day. I am very dedicated to Minecraft. I'm trying my best. I have so many things cooking behind the scenes, you guys. I really do. Especially in terms of like future collabs that I think is going to be really fun. And I'm really looking forward to the future, not only of the community, but just also seeing what direction I'm able to go. I've already experienced so much growth in the short time I've been here. Full disclosure, my goal is to have 15k by the end of the year. I think it's doable. Because again, 5.5 months, I'm over 13k. I think it's definitely possible. So we just need 1,700 more followers for me to hit 15k. Because my big goal is I want a YouTube play button. Like, can I be so upfront? I'm not even in it for like, I don't care about being famous. It's just been my dream since I was like 10 years old to have a YouTube play button. And I need 100,000 to get that. So I don't expect to get that anytime soon. But hopefully over the next few years, I can work really, really hard. And, you know, bring more people in. And maybe one day I'll get there. So that's just like a silly, selfish dream of mine, I guess. It's not even about the fame. I just want to be able to say, haha, I got a YouTube play button. We need to find that next big exposure. Well, there are a lot of things cooking up behind the scenes that I think could help with that in the future that I'm really excited about. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I just trust that the Lord is guiding me wherever He needs me to go. And I've especially had a lot of huge growth recently as soon as I started doing my Bible streams. So, you know, obviously I remember to keep myself humble. But I like to think that... a lot of the growth I've seen over the last 2 weeks is because I started doing Bible streams. And, you know, I like to think God's rewarding that. So, hi, Leslie. Welcome in. God bless you as well. Hope you're doing good. I'll get a standee once I can. Yeah, of course. No. No rush. Absolutely. Obviously, that's a thing for you guys. So, I will do my best to fulfill them as I get all of the orders for it. So, yeah. Kitty treats. Dude, my cats are gonna be happy. They're chilling right now. Hold on. Browser. There we go. Sorry, you saw the message. My PowerPoint from earlier. Alright. Here you go. I don't think Whammy saw the treats in the background. Whammy! Maybe she doesn't want any. The kitty on the couch. I tried to show her where I threw her treats, but she's not noticing them. Is it limited supply? No, I mean, I don't have a million of them right now, but when I run out, I'll order more of them. So don't fret. Yeah, it's because my black cat Vanellope, fun fact, she likes to watch my streams in the bedroom. So whenever I stream, I put my stream on the TV and she lays in bed watching my stream until I'm done streaming and go to the bedroom with her. And she always greets me, so yeah, Vanellope is my #1 fan. So sometimes she's in here to get treats, but most of the time she's watching stream. I have 4 of them total. Look at those fierce tigers. Yeah, they're my babies. I love them. I have a plan for some fan art. It'll take time, but I intend to make you a scale model hype train. Oh, dude, that's so cool. I would love to see it. Ooh, sorry, popping my neck here. Cat lady? I am a cat lady. Well, it's because all of my cats were rescues. And yes, we do have a cat cam. Yeah, I have kitty treats as a redeem. But it can only be redeemed 3 times. But after that's out of stock, 500 biddies and I can turn on the kitty cam and give the kitties treats as well. It's just because I don't want them to be unlimited, because I don't want them to get too fat. What was I saying? Oh yeah, all my cats were rescues and like happy accidents. Trust me, I didn't go out of my way to plan to have 4 cats. God just kept throwing them in my lap. Like, my first and second cat were intentional, but the third cat, she was in a foster home, but she was neglected and really spoke to me. We didn't know she was injured. She had a really bad infection. She might have died, to be honest. But I felt called to adopt her. I adopted her and I found out she had a really bad infection because from getting spayed, having like surgery to spay / neuter, you know how that be. The foster home did not clean it very well and she was very infected. So medical bills galore, but saved her and I love her so much. Oh no, Lemon just showed up. She just realized stream delay hit and then she saw her sisters eating treats and she's like, what about me? Here you go. Alright, I made sure to give Lemon her treats too. So we helped her out and then literally like less than a month later, we were already like, okay, 3 is like definitely the max cats. And we found my 4th cat on the side of the road, stuck in a thorny bush. And I tried so hard to find anywhere that would take her because she was a kitten and the vet theorizes someone threw her out the car window and didn't want her because she was scraped up, like, you know, she hit the asphalt and then tried to run into the brush and got trapped in a thorny bush. But I tried to find anyone that would be willing to take her because I was like, 4 cats is way too much. I can't have 4 cats in this small apartment. No one could take her, so she became mine. But I love her now. Super glad to have her. Hi, Sergeant. Welcome in. Nice to meet you, too. If you're here for the Bible study, we actually wrapped it up a bit ago, but the VOD will still be available. We're just kind of yapping now until we finish things off. Next cat is always the last cat until the next cat. Yeah, that's how it be sometimes. So I love my kitty cats, but 4 is definitely a lot. And I wish I could home all the kitties, but I physically cannot have more than 4 cats. I was honestly not wanting 4, but I love Wham Bam. She's my silliest cat for sure, but I cannot afford to get another. I cannot. I wish I could, but it be what it be. Also, you guys, it looks like we're getting up to be at the 4-hour mark, so we're probably going to start wrapping up here soon. Again, I appreciate everyone being here. It's just that I unfortunately cannot be streaming forever, especially because I already stayed up till 4 a.m. last night. So I gotta get rest, but I stream every day at 8 p.m. Central if you guys are new here. And would like to tune in. Tomorrow we will be playing Alien Isolation. It's been a lot of fun. You know, I've also been playing with a heart rate monitor, so if you want to see my heart rate monitor, that's cool too. I have 4 cats too. Had 5, you know how that goes? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tom. That goes. All my cats were also on strays. Feels more like being adopted by them. Yeah, that's why I like the meme about the cat distribution system. I don't know. God just decided I needed another cat at a few random intervals. Now I have 4, and I'm like, oh lord. I don't know if I can get more. Cats are the best? Yeah. I definitely agree so. Where am I gonna send you guys today? I am gonna send you all. If you are on YouTube, I do not have anywhere that I can send you in particular. I am so sorry about that. But I am going to send you over to Tiny Kisa, who is currently partner pushing. So if you guys would like to go show her some love, it says that she's low energy, hanging out. But you know, if you just want to lurk there, have a good time, because I know it's late for a lot of us. She is currently playing Peak. So if you'd like to stay around, I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Trying to hit her 75 average in order to hit partner. So I'll send you guys over there. If you're on YouTube, unfortunately, I do not have anywhere to send you guys. I'm so sorry, God. Well, the VOD will be available tomorrow. Or it'll be available immediately afterwards if you want to check it out. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Hideki, thank you so much for buying merch. If you have a sub on Twitch, copy-paste the raid message. And we are going to go Shark Attack Kisa and go show her some love as she continues to play Peak. And I will hopefully see you all again next week. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all soon. Bye, everyone!